looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the pigs fall. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the pigs fall. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you might hear, but they won't, cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't dare, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. This outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the pigs fall. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the pigs fall. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
If you understand
trees, listen, bringing your fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, homie, shut up and listen. So get a Vic Bennett, yo, check your vision. I know how to see a whack MC when he bustin', but I just back away, real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds, open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth, it's tragic, but I do. So sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you. Despite the system trying to clamp down on the people will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the room, that's too far. But evil
that lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option. They can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin.
But then again they do, and that's a problem.
So let's
go down and figure out
how to stop it.
It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak,
but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. Listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. Mentality, several different realities. Into the Star Trek room when you hear the boom.
I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player.
With the delayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC / master of the ceremony tenderoni. I'm on a historical journey, kinda like. Now, it is Saturday, March the 14th, 0334, and yes, I'm from the golden era of hip hop. I'm 55 out this place. You know what I'm saying? I'm 55. I'm still on Earth. God bless. Thanks to the ancestors. Thanks to my loved ones. You know, up in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Keeping me alive. You know, keeping the spirits up. And I'm here for another day, and I'm actually grateful for the days that I have on Earth. You know, to be honest with you, I grew up in an interesting country, United States of America, born and raised. Happy. I grew up in a beautiful city, Washington D.C. in the 70s, 1970. I mean, there was a beautiful place. It was a beautiful place. Somebody said hello, my Indian friend. Is there Indian out there? I don't know. Hello to Indians out there, by the way. You know what I'm saying? No matter what type you are, if you're from India, the country, or Native American, sometimes they're called Indians. I prefer to call them Native Americans. But in any case, Washington, D.C. in the 70s, and it was a beautiful place. And I'm going to let you know something special about myself. And I'm not the only one, but, you know, thank God I grew up in a city with a lot of trees. You know, for a city in the United States, a capital city, a major city. I grew up in a city with a lot of trees. A major natural park goes right through basically D.C. It's called Rock Creek Park. And I grew up in the days of that track. You know, I don't know how many of you know the Blackbirds. We love the Blackbirds in D.C. Although as a grown ass man, I live outside of the United States. I had the blessing of growing up in those days where it was like doing it in the park, doing it after dark. Oh yeah, Rock Creek Park. Oh yeah, Rock Creek Park. Do it. Come on, do it. You know what I'm saying? Doing it in the park. Yeah, and I loved Rock Creek Park, but point in case, you know what I'm saying? I'm a 70s child, and so I loved growing up in D.C. Those were some wonderful days, you know what I mean? And wonderful people, you know what I'm saying? People that from a lot of different backgrounds, Americans, of course, and but a lot of different diversity there, and in a different way at that time in the 70s. D.C. has kind of lost its way. I hate to say that. I mean, DC still got go-go music, but it's kind of lost its way on, how can I say this? On the ethics, you know what I mean? On the ethics, on the, you know, on the meaning, the side of meaning, you know what I'm saying? In the 70s, you know, people had a purpose in DC. There was a purpose. It was coming out of the 60s, coming out of the civil rights era. And DC was a hub for civil rights activity, and that involved a lot of different people. You know what I'm saying? It involved African Americans, Hispanic Americans. It involved Jewish Americans. It involved Irish Americans, Italian Americans, German Americans. You know, but also different backgrounds, civil rights people from all those backgrounds, lawyers, you know, that worked with civil rights organizations. It was a lot, and people that grew up in DC of these backgrounds had to happily conform to that, because they believed in something. They believed in anti-fascism. Like they ended they believed in the ending of those periods because they were fucking ashamed of that shit. You see what I mean? Nobody wanted that. And I don't talk enough of April. I see you. What's up, April? I don't talk enough about the knowledge I have about my own damn city. But let me tell you, the pride is so deep. I have a whole lot of knowledge. In fact, I bothered to learn the beginning, you know what I'm saying, of the African American community in Washington, D.C. And it starts in the 1700s. We talking about documented. Of course, people have been there. Black Americans, African Americans, descendants of slaves have been there the entire time. But I'm talking about, where you can go in and see data. And and you can see the late 1700s. They have data on African Americans, free and enslaved. Right. Yeah. And then as far as the free ones, they have data on the household, what the households look like. We're talking about one of the earliest communities to have data done. You see what I mean? So people can go back in Georgetown. Exactly. April. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Georgetown had a canal right off the Potomac where goods came in and got, and that was the first African American community in Washington, D.C. That was where the black folk lived, in Georgetown. Basically, and they spread across the city. They spread east, from west to east. Today, you won't find many on the west side. You know what I'm saying? It's too expensive. They will all be relegated, damn near, not all, but 80% now, 90, maybe close to 90 is east of the river, damn near. Maybe let's say 80%. I don't want to exaggerate. I don't want to hurt anybody. But to give you an example, my pop's family is from the west side of DC. In the 40s and 50s. White folks lived in the east side and black folks lived in the west side. And it is totally flipped around. You see what I'm saying? And starting on the west side was Georgetown in the late 1700s. After the Emancipation Proclamation, they documented the households. They documented the numbers. DC had a huge free African American population, but at the same time, it had slavery. At the same time. And for those of you that don't know the history of your country or like to talk about whose country is it, I would suggest you go out there and learn something about it. It's out there. If you don't know it, shame on you. Maybe just take a little time to know what comes with that red, white, and blue. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? And then you might be able to understand Americans better from all different backgrounds. All. You see what I mean? So I actually went to Julius Hobson Middle School, which was part of the Capitol Hill clusters school. People that grew up on Capitol Hill had this school, right? Or had this group of schools called Capitol Hill clusters. And, you started in pre-K and you went all the way up to middle school and finished middle school. And the teachers that started in pre-K, they would move along with the students as they went up. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And so I was blessed to grow up and to go to Capitol Hill Cluster School, basically, until I went to high school. You know what I'm saying? In DC. Yeah, that's a story for you. But it was a wonderful experience, a loving experience. You know what I'm saying? Which is something kids need. Love. You know what I'm saying? Attention, affection, kindness, caring. You see what I mean? When you get that as a child, that goes a long, long way. And it starts off at the schools. The teachers are the front line of any successful society. Anything out of any society that a society can claim is great all starts right there in public schools and the teachers. It starts right there. They're on the front line of the society. Your society can be no better than its teachers. And if your teachers are struggling to survive, then so is your society struggling to survive. That's what I would say. And there's no way around it. You know what I'm saying? So, you trained at Commander Salamander in Georgetown to work up against the wall, up against the wall. Yeah. Me too. Damn. How old are you, April? Damn. You might be my age. I'm 55. Yeah. I remember those days clearly. I love those days. Those days were wonderful shit. When I was in my 20s, I was having fun in DC. I don't know. Should I dare say how much fun I was having? Because I was having a whole lot of goddamn fun. You know what I'm saying? Club hopping, DJing. I think I was just at every goddamn club and party in DC just because I was a DJ. But when I wasn't working, when I wasn't DJing, the other nights I was out partying, hanging out and shit. You know what I'm saying? I was I'm 40. Okay, 40 in June. There you go. Yeah. So damn, I was 15. I was one when you when I was 15. You was hopping off the block. But listen, that's okay. You see what I mean? You still get to, you still would know what I mean. 15 was still beautiful in those times. I mean, 90s, you know, yeah, DC went through some rough times, but I was born before the rough times in DC. I was born before, and I experienced the rough times. I was a teenager in the mid 80s, and in the 90s. I was a young man in the 90s, you know. I mean, yeah, in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? So and it was rough times and stuff like that, and things changed, but that's also a part. You can't take the good without the bad. But still, that was another time. You know what I'm saying? That was where even Mayor Barry was a civil rights activist from the 60s. He was a part of SNCC, you know. So the mindset, and no, it wasn't just black people part of the civil rights movement. And, you know, there was all kinds of people of different backgrounds working together. You know what I mean? And people, that's how you even got a Mayor Barry. And trust me, I know, because I have family members that's close to from Barry's beginnings in DC, because DC, you know, Barry's not from DC. A lot of people don't know that, but Marion Barry is not from DC. He did not grow up in DC. And part of what made Marion a good mayor is that he was part of the civil rights movement, and people in DC of all backgrounds was like, you from SNCC, and SNCC have their rank and file, and they was like, yeah, so we're gonna help work within the rank and file, and move that message ahead. So they had bus boycotts in DC. They had all of that shit before Barry was one of the people that did help lead some of the bus boycotts. But that's because a lot of activists live in DC and they know what organization was about in the 70s. You see what I mean? Yeah. But you know, those were the times. You know, those were the times of Roberta Flack. You know what I'm saying? Bless her soul too, and Marion. But Roberta Flack too. You know what I'm saying? Man. And a lot of people sing those songs, you know what I mean? But let me tell you, I mean, Roberta Flack actually literally used to be my babysitter and my sister's babysitter. You know what I'm saying? I used to live across on North Carolina Avenue, just on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue where Mr. Henry's is, where she used to play, you know? So she used to babysit for, you know, she was a well-known local on the hill around Mr. Henry's. And I believe, did she go to Howard maybe a couple of years too? But, yeah, DC had a different soul at that time. And yeah, and folks really used to get down in DC together, like I said, from all backgrounds, all across the city. And it's kind of changed a little bit. But that's a little something for people that don't come from DC, that move to DC, to know about and look into. Always look into the history and the background of the place where you live. Even myself, I live in Copenhagen now, and that's like a journey the whole time. That's what makes it, that's what helps me fit in. You know what I'm saying? That's what helps me fit in. The fact that I care to know a little bit about the development of Copenhagen, you know, because Copenhagen wasn't always looking the way it was, and Denmark wasn't always the way it was. You know what I mean? At one time, there was a lot of poverty in Denmark, which is why they have the system they have now. But it used to be a lot of poverty. I mean, and when you read some of the stories, we talking about post-World War II, we talking about, you know, families living in one room, 5 people, 5 kids, 2 adults living in one room, no shower in the house. You know what I mean? We're talking about hard times, you know. So, you know, but in any case, having said that, big up Denmark. It's the middle of the night also in Europe. But having said that, let's get back to the news. And because it's not just about the past, although the past helps us reflect on what's going on now. And it gives us some insight on how to maneuver. Because look, let's put it to you like this: people that have history have seen these days before. We've seen this before, so we know what to expect, and we know the most important thing is to be reasonable and rational. You know, and when we examine what is going on, and we know that the United States has some serious security problems from the inside. You know, the U.S. has been infiltrated. The U.S. government has been infiltrated by a foreign government. You know, there's something else going on there that is against the Constitution, you know, and, you know, just to put it plainly. Now, people might want to say, yeah, how do you know that or whatever? Well, that's my belief. That's from me paying attention and watching and being on Earth 55 years and listening and knowing how to read and write and examine information on my own. And also being able to stay alive. Staying alive. How do you stay alive? You know what I'm saying? How do you? Well, one of the reasons why I stayed alive is because when I was traveling around outside of the U.S., I was able to see, although everybody has two eyeballs and two arms, you know, not everybody, but most people, normal people, two legs and all that, you know what I'm saying? A brain, la, 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 da, 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 the normal human parts. People don't do shit the same way, and people don't see things the same way, and people don't believe things the same way, and people that don't live the same way. And when I was able to see that, you know, it hit me in the head. I said, you know what? Something is wrong with us in the U.S. Like, we're a little goddamn crazy. Like, we are a little goddamn crazy and irrational as a people, like inside of the U.S. The way we live in the United States is fucking insanity. It is fucking insanity. And someone has to call it. I have traveled around to different countries in the world, and I know what people act like and behave like and vote for when they want to fucking survive. It is not what Americans did when they voted for Trump. You vote for Trump, you did not want to survive. You were on a suicide mission. You literally voted for someone to open the doors up to foreign government, to walk into every part of the U.S. government and to take it down by using its figurehead. And his figurehead was in the Epstein files. So in case you're wondering, how could a foreign government get Trump to do everything they want to do? Well, have you seen the Epstein files? Maybe they have and you haven't. That's how, you see. And maybe Trump doesn't want you to know that he probably liked little boys raping him. Not raping him. He's raping little boys, but Trump allegedly like having boys do it to him in the behind. Like, literally. Sasha Riley has said that numerous times, over and over and over and over. Yes, Sasha Riley said in the 80s, mid 80s to the 90s, Trump and others liked having other men liked having sexual relationships with him. He said that he did snuff videos as a little boy between the years of 8 and 12, and that Trump was a part of the sex trafficking ring. He even said that it appeared Trump and 4 other billionaires were the bosses of Epstein at that time, that Epstein wasn't even the boss. And they said, yes, that Putin's name came up so much, you know, that the people involved in the sex trafficking ring in the United States of America, being senators, being congressional members, being judges, being whoever, they had a high affinity for Putin. His name was coming up in the 80s. You see what I mean? Why would Putin's name come up in the 80s and in the 90s, right? Why would his name come up to victims, right? Why would victims hear his name? Well, that's interesting because Putin wasn't even the president then. He was the head of the Secret Service of Russia. Could it be that he was running a honeypot scam? Sounds like it to me. So in case you're wondering how you can how you could take the United States down and crash it, well, all you got to do is get people like Trump, Clinton, and others, enough congressional members, enough Supreme Court members, enough justices on tape screwing around with little boys. Yeah, they talk a lot about little girls, but most of these people don't even care if they were raping girls. Let me tell you, American citizens largely do not fucking care if they were raping girls because they're Christianized. That's why. In the Christian world, raping little girls is not that bad. I hate to say it, but I mean, if you want to be a bad Christian, that's not that bad to Christians. You see what I mean? But little boys, gay activity, gay rape, I guess you could call it. I don't know what else to call it. Mano rape is more looked down on in Christian society. You know what I'm saying? Not that the U.S. is a Christian society, but we have a lot of Christians, right? And no, people like Trump could be really embarrassed if you found out, because you weren't embarrassed about the allegations of raping women. You're not embarrassed about the allegations of raping little girls. No, because Trump's still the president. And if you were embarrassed by the allegation of Trump raping little girls, he would be impeached, but he's not. So the Congress is not embarrassed by that. They're not moved by that. That's okay for them. Just the horrible allegation and specific allegations of Trump raping little girls is okay for the Congress. Otherwise, they would have impeached him. It's okay for the Senate. Otherwise, they would have impeached him. But notice what they don't talk about. It's the boys. It's the allegations of the little boys that Trump, having sexual relationships with. And notice how they just don't mention Sasha Riley at all. It's like zero, nothing. They hate to talk about the fact that it ain't just little girls, it's also boys. So if you want to know how Putin or somebody like Putin could control Trump, it wouldn't really. I mean, the girls is bad. That's bad on tape and whatever else is there. But the thing about the little boys on tape, yeah, that, in my view, that would pretty much, you'd be able to get Trump to do anything because he would be ashamed. His kids wouldn't look. What would his sons think? What would Trump's sons think if they find out Trump was messing around with little boys? What would they think? What would they think? All the men think if they saw Trump on tape with a little boy screwing him in the backside? What would they think? Well, that's what Sasha Riley has said that there is tapes of. That they have tapes of him sexual acts with adults like Trump and others. Yes. And also snuff videos. Yes. And he's saying that Trump was a part of it. And for some reason that doesn't get mentioned. And it doesn't surprise me because why? A whole lot of Christians in the United States, and they have these ideas. But think of Peter Thiel. I mean, you think Peter Thiel is having dates with girls, with ladies? What type of people do you think Peter Thiel is getting down with? If Peter Thiel was a molester, was a rapist, right, was a child rapist, what do you think he would be getting down with, girls or boys? Because allegedly Peter Thiel gets down with men. You see what I mean? So he probably, if he was involved, it probably wouldn't be girls. It'd probably be the boys that people also allege exist, but for some reason nobody's talking about it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, boys. Yeah, little boys. And for those that don't know, let me just pull it up too, because it's better to do that, right? Just so people know you're not bullshitting when you say this stuff, because a lot of people don't know. And in case they want to hear the video, I will pull this up for people right now. Let me see here. It's out there, And again, I know these people are not, they don't care about raping little girls. Christians in America, the right-wing Christians, they don't care about men raping little girls. If they did, Trump would be impeached. There's enough evidence out there to be like, damn, we have to get rid of this. This is dangerous. But no, they proud of it. So they still have him as a president. And the same thing as the Senate. But let me see here. Sasha Riley. And of course, I'm not spending any time on this today, but I can open up with it. Let's see here. So it's Sasha Riley. Let me go to the here we go. Sasha Riley. So people can pick this up here. These he's done like, I don't know how many hours of videos are we talking about with Sasha Riley? I mean, it's loads. Not videos. How many hours of audio recordings does he have? It's a lot. And let me see, is this here? And it doesn't seem to be like something that where is this at? Here we go. It doesn't seem to be something that is making its rounds for some goddamn reason. Like, I don't know why that is, but for people that want to see it, here it is. You can see part of it here. Let's see. Sasha Riley. This is Sasha Riley right here, right? And Sasha Riley is talking about having these escapades with Trump. Yeah. Sasha Riley is talking about having sexual relationships as a boy, aka rape, with Donald Trump. Yeah. And he basically said he was doing it in Donald Trump's backside as a little boy because Donald Trump is a whole freak. Yeah. So in the 80s, in the mid 80s up to the 90s, between the ages of 8 and 12. That's Sasha Riley. So take a look. AKA Sasha Burrows on Facebook. In case you want to know, he has a Facebook page. Anyone can go and talk to them if they're concerned at all about Trump getting it in his backside by a little boy. All right. There he is. That's what he looked like. Okay. He's giving his whole history on his Facebook page, parents and all, photographs and all. Okay. And yes, it's pretty interesting. And he said he was doing snuff tapes, and they have those tapes. So if you have those kind of tapes with little boys and snuff tapes and all this shit, you see how easy it is to control someone, right? You can see how easy that would be. So yeah, so that's the dynamic going on here. And sadly enough, that's not really where things are going to go. They're not going to turn it to that conversation in the United States because, yeah, that would mean they would have to impeach Trump. When you figure out he was doing it to little boys and little, this kind of stuff, they would be pissed off because, of course, in the fake ass Christian American world, gays aren't allowed, even though a lot of them are undercovers. You know what I'm saying? It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing, Edward. It is the weirdest thing. It is the weirdest goddamn thing. I mean, it's hard to understand. It's hard to understand. Why? Why are they out there fronting? Why are they out there playing games with religion and, faking the funk with their religion when the truth of the matter is, like I said, is that they don't want people to this is the craziest thing. They don't want people to damn, what is this? Can I put that up there? Yeah, they don't want people to talk about Sasha Riley and Trump, And there it is. They don't want people talking about Sasha Riley and Trump. And yeah, because why? That goes against Christianity. The gay thing goes against Christianity. But, this is also one of the reasons why, Trump is so easily controlled, likely because they're not ashamed. Christian Americans are not ashamed as much as when you talk about men raping little girls. But what they are really ashamed of is when you talk about it with little boys, the quote male thing, male boy thing. They're really, really ashamed of that because they're Christians. And of course, you get put to death in Christianity, according to the Bible. So they preach all that shit, use it for hate, use it for all of this stuff. Right. And then when so they don't want to talk about this. When they start talking about Sasha Riley and talking about the boys and the Epstein files and things like this, which they have totally avoided. Right. He would likely be impeached. You see what I mean? That would be the last straw, So, yeah. So if you're wondering why 5,000 troops are about to go to Iran, it's because Putin wants it. It's because he wants it. And it's likely I'm saying likely, it's my opinion. And Trump is going to do whatever Putin wants because Putin is scared that people will find out he was likely raping little boys. Yeah. And so here's his audio. I'm going to play a second so you can hear that it's real.
I want to clarify in terms of date, July 18th, 2025. My full name, Lisa Noel Volding. And Riley, you want to state your name and any other names?
My name is William. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. My name is William Sasha Riley. I was born Manuel Sasha Barros.
Okay.
But my legal name is William Sasha Riley at this time.
Okay. And I'm, just so we're clear, I'm based in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I lived in the United States full-time for a bunch of years. But I was brought up in Canada. My citizenship.
But they described something that I knew that I had been a part of.
Yeah.
Right. So he's talking about the videos that other people have seen and the snuff videos that other people have seen. La la la, cha la la, da da da. And yeah, so that is a dynamic that is going to be examined. And of course, this is where the Christian, the Christians really get like, damn, so they don't really talk about it. You won't hear much of the conversation about the little boys. But a lot of people, you got to understand, this is controlled media. A lot of people know about Sasha Riley and they know that there's boys, but it's pretty much purposely kept out of the conversation in mainstream TV because of the Christianization of the United States of America and how embarrassing that is. You see what I'm saying? It's just fucking embarrassing to them. And, and I can understand why. If you're faking the funk, you're faking the funk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could totally understand why. And yeah, but they're not really ashamed about the allegations of raping little girls. You see, that's how that goes in the U.S. And why? It's because of the Christian aspect of it. They are Christians. So that would be, you know, when you go around preaching that you're a Christian nation, la, 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 that's where the line has to be held at. It's got to be held at raping little girls. You can't go further than that. You see what I'm saying? But here it is. I'm going to put it in the chat. Copy, la, la, la. And people can watch for themselves. Sasha Riley. And now you know why likely your troops are in Iran, because Putin likely has tapes of this guy. Yeah. He likely has tapes of this guy. You see what I mean? Getting, you know, doing Trump in the backside. You see what I'm saying? This is what he's alleging. And in his audio recordings, he said Putin was mentioned often and in a highly regarded fashion. So that's just for people that want to know. And of course, this is not for everybody. Yeah, and I get that totally. This is not something everybody's going to want to listen to, right? And I totally get that also. I get it. It's not for the squeamish. And it's also not for hypocrites, you know, hypocrites that claim that they're down with against, you know, rape and pedophilia. You know, people that claim that, they should probably want to listen to this. And people that claim they stand by their vets should probably want to listen to this. But we know hypocrites don't do that kind of stuff. So that would be no surprise when folks take no interest in it. But let's get back to business here. Now, let me see. Let me get to this one. And damn, I got some interesting settings here I got to watch out for. Here we go. So let's flip over now and take it from here. I got to check out my settings, though. So I will do that. But in any case, Trump is sending vets. Not vets. He's sending 5,000 Marines to Iran. That's what's happening right now. And it's been okayed by Pete Hegseth. And people need to know that that's what's going on. Of course, when Vietnam War started, it started off like that. They didn't send, 100,000 troops, 50,000 troops. No, it started off with like a couple thousand. And then it turned into all of a sudden they needed to send more. They needed to send more ground troops. You need to send more now, and obviously Trump would love a war, because then, you don't get a chance to talk about the Epstein files anymore, Yeah. And Trump would rather have you debating Iran. Should you or should you not? And just debating all the integral aspects of that, right? Rather than talking about little boys, So let's hear.
Not prepared for something that administrations have been talking about for decades?
Yeah, look, this is reporting from CNN's Zach Cohen, Phil Mattingly, Kevin Liptak, and Kylie Atwood. And it gets into just how problematic what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz, which of course is one of the world's most important energy chokeholds in the country. It's responsible for 20% of the global crude oil that comes out of that very key waterway. And what they're learning, our colleagues, is that essentially that while key officials from the Department of Energy and the Department of Treasury were present for a lot of these briefings, what is typical in planning for something of this magnitude, an operation, military operation of this magnitude in the Middle East, they said that the agency analysis and forecast that would be integral elements of the decision-making process in past administrations were secondary considerations here. Now, I think one of the key things is what the administration is actually going to do about this, John. And what we've heard from top officials and what our colleagues are hearing from their sources involved in some of the planning on this is that it could be weeks before the Trump administration's efforts to really try and alleviate the impact of what is happening in the Strait can actually take effect. We have heard many officials kind of talk about the possibility of having the U.S. Navy go in and escort some of these oil tankers and ships through the Strait to make sure they're safer. But that is very high risk. And that is something that we've now heard as well from top officials like the Energy Secretary Chris Wright, noting that it can be very dangerous to do that. Meanwhile, we've heard from the president kind of trying to downplay some of the tumult we've seen with energy and what has been happening in the Strait. Now, I do want to reference what we heard from the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent yesterday. He was speaking with Sky News, and he said that the escorts.
Yeah, Edward, exactly. You know, they talk, the MAGA people like, it's not war until it's boots on the ground. Well, okay. So thanks for saying that last year. Thanks for saying that last year before when the election was going on. Of course, maggots have changed their story, a million times now. You see what I mean? And the most obvious one, which they can't run away from, which is why you have this war, likely, well, it's not the reason why you have the war. This helps Putin. It helps Putin and China having this war. It doesn't help the United States, but that's why it's good for Trump. And, but on the flip side, it's like, you don't get to talk about the Epstein files. And, when you have this war, there's just simply not enough airtime to do that. People don't have enough time away from work to listen to the news. You know what I mean? So it's specific news that gets put out there. Legacy media knows that. That's corporate news. They got a tax break from Trump, so they're going to play along. Hence, nobody went out there to interview Sasha Riley. Like I was saying, they don't want to know. It's embarrassing. It's very obvious that legacy media is not trying to get to the bottom of this Epstein case. Congress is not trying to get to the bottom of this Epstein case, which is blackmail and espionage and controlling, congressional members and senatorial members of the Senate, members of the Supreme Court. They're not trying to get to the bottom of it. They're just kind of like soft gloving it. You know what I'm saying? Not really breaking a sweat to get that story out there. You know what I mean? They're just kind of talking kind of passe about it, almost intellectualizing the Epstein files and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, instead of just say danger, release, like they were supposed to do, they're still kind of like, nah, it's not really that important. But yeah. So now you got MAGA, they don't care about the Epstein files anymore, and they don't really care about war. Let's be honest. MAGA doesn't fucking care about war, and they never did. And they talked about Ukraine, and they talked about foreign wars and all this shit with Biden, but it was just an excuse. It was just an excuse. They didn't care. It was politics, and it was disinformation pumping it. They don't care if you're engaged in any foreign war or not. That's not what it was about. It was just about talking points to get rid of people like Biden and Kamala Harris that were talking about things America needs at home. Childcare, healthcare. It was the billionaires of the United States were scared, to lose control. And so they teamed up with Putin and sold out the United States of America. I mean, just to put it plain, they teamed up with Putin, right, to, to keep their power. And now that they teamed up with Putin, they plan on shaking down the rest of the West. That's what they plan on doing. Yeah. And America, too. That's what they plan on doing. Shaking them down, shaking everybody down, playing this good cop, bad cop game like they played with Maduro, like they play with everybody. You know what I'm saying? And right. And good cop, bad cop like they play with the Ayatollah. I mean, Putin knew that the Ayatollah was going to be taken out, and he didn't tell them. They didn't tell them they're aiming for you. They're coming to kill you. Move, hide, la, 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 da, da, da. Go on the ground. Be careful. They didn't do that because they didn't give a damn, because the point is not that. The point is not about one man. It's a show. You see what I mean? This is a show to get the United States to use all its weapons, to waste all of its political power, to break itself off from its allies so it can be totally isolated and it can fall as a superpower, to burn up the dollar, make the dollar useless globally because it won't be worth shit. And it is in the process of happening, and it's going to happen overnight as a surprise. Bang. And when it does that, you won't be able to do nothing about it, which is why they're going after Jerome Powell. You see what I mean? The U.S. Fed leader, because they want him to be corrupt. They want him to sell out the U.S. dollar. They want him to lie to the public. They're threatening him day and night. You see what I'm saying? So it's a sham, and it's an attack on the United States of America. And to be honest with you, until people respond like it's an attack, you're going to fall. The United States is going to fall until people start responding like it's an attack on their country. Yeah. But we got all the time in the world because I got health care. I live in Denmark, so I'm not in a hurry, you know. I mean, take all the time you need, by the way. And I'm not suggesting you dare do anything else, but recognize it as an attack. Do what you want with it. Sit down, behave good, pay your taxes, get kicked out of your home. You know what I'm saying? You build up your debt. No problem, man. No problem. Live with Trump. Live with him. Yeah, just go right along with it. If you happen to get sick, though, some of you are going to die, but just go along with that, too. No problem. It's not no hurry. No hurry.
From the U.S. Navy will begin, quote, as soon as it is militarily possible. He said that was their planning, and there's a chance that the U.S. Navy or perhaps an international coalition could ultimately escort these tankers through. We also heard
why does Trump want other nations to help the United States? Why does Trump need other nations? Why does the U.S. military and Donald J. Trump, the White House, why are they begging other nations to help them when they did this? Why is Israel and the United States begging other nations to help them when they didn't even have the courtesy to pick up the phone and say, hey, what do you think about this idea me and Trump have? We don't know if we're going to do it. We don't want to do it without your permission. We don't want you to be affected. We want to be good partners. We want to be good allies and ask you what you think. No, they didn't. They just went in there and did it anyway. And now he's doing what? Now he's back there doing what?
Friends, what we heard from the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent yesterday. He was speaking with Sky News, and he said that the escorts from the U.S. Navy will begin, quote, as soon as it is militarily possible. He said that was their planning, and there's a chance that the U.S. Navy or perhaps an international coalition.
International coalition? I'll be damned with that. Fuck an international coalition. That's going against the MAGA creed. MAGA doesn't need nobody else. MAGA doesn't need Canada, doesn't need Mexico, doesn't need the EU, doesn't need anybody else. No. MAGA said Europe wasn't shit. That's what they literally said. And they treated our allies like they weren't shit. And they talked down about our allies like they weren't shit. And while they were attacking the front door of the EU, which is Ukraine, while Putin was doing that, Trump invited Putin to the United fucking States of America to get the red carpet treatment. That's what the MAGA leaders did, and that's what the MAGA people celebrated. And now look at them begging. Look at this. Bunch of bitch asses begging because they don't want to take the blame for what they have done alone. They want to invite other people to become part of the problem and part of the failure. Listen to this.
From the U.S. Navy will begin, quote, happening in with Sky News, and he said that the escorts from the U.S. Navy will begin, quote, as soon as it is militarily possible. He said that was their planning, and there's a chance that the U.S. Navy or perhaps an international coalition could ultimately escort these tankers through.
International coalition. Oh, they want that. Yo, Edward, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, the main reason I subscribed to this guy's channel was because of Donald Trump's threats against Greenland. Denmark takes care of Greenland. Yeah, and I'm an American citizen, and I live in Denmark. You know what I'm saying? And I understand exactly what kind of betrayal this is, man. It's actually bullshit. Americans, all American citizens from all types of backgrounds, if you are middle class or poor, you should want a very, very similar system than what Denmark, than the one that actually Denmark has. You want something very similar. That's what you should be shooting for. OK, Danes can teach Americans, can teach Jeff Bessent, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, all of these people a little something about how you run a country and a little something about how you take care of your fucking people. OK, they literally can. OK, yeah. And that's something American citizens need to be aware of, because we ain't going to get no smarter if we keep letting these billionaires in our country blind us and manipulate our minds through their legacy media. Like, straight up, you got to wake up, Americans. Like, the clock is ticking on your country. The clock is not ticking on the West. These people in the United States sold out the West. The West is going to survive because the West has changed its stance. Okay. They see Trump as a threat to the West. Yeah. So you're not going to get the kind of cooperation you used to get. It's not going to come easy. You see what I mean? And the West wants to survive, even if Donald Trump wants the U.S. to die.
We also heard, just speaking on this idea of preparedness and the lack thereof that our colleagues are reporting on, we did hear from the White House, a spokeswoman, Anna Kelly. This is what she told CNN. She said, through a detailed planning process, the entire administration is and was prepared for any potential action taken by the terrorist Iranian regime. She went on to say that the president has been clear that any disruptions to energy are temporary and will result in a benefit to our country.
Yeah, Ed, I see you. I mean, Ed says, I'm going to make a prediction right now, and the prediction is that Donald Trump will use a nuclear weapon in the Middle East within the next year. He really just wants to blow up some shit. I mean, blowing up shit, basically, it's better than talking about the Epstein files, right? Basically, blowing up shit is better than talking about the Epstein files. So, yeah, I have to agree with you.
Really been the line we've heard from this White House that what is happening right now with oil is temporary, but all to say,
do you believe Jack Besant or whatever the hell is Scott Besant? He says it's temporary. Listen to this bullshit. He says it's just temporary. He said that about inflation last year.
And will result in a benefit to our country. That has really been the line we've heard from this White House, that what is happening right now with oil is temporary, but
that's what he said last year about the economy. Just temporary. Wait till look, last year he said, wait till next year. Wait till January. Wait till the jobs report comes in. Wait till the economic. Wait till this. Wait till that. Now all that is past. Same guy now is telling you, just wait some more. That's what he's saying. All this will pass. Just wait some more. Okay, so he didn't tell you that the U.S. might use a nuclear bomb before things get better. He didn't say that. He didn't tell you the U.S. was going to invade Iran before things get better. He didn't tell you any of that. He said, just give the president's economic plan a chance, y'all. I know it's hard right now, but just wait till next year. Everything's still bad with the economy. He's doing a whole lot of other shit, though, with your money. But with your pockets, everything is still bad.
All to say, we do know that energy executives as well are kind of trying to play it safe right now. They do not want to be sending their oil tankers through, risking lives, risking their ships at this moment. So this is a problem that is likely going to continue for a long time until the administration can figure out how to safely, escort these ships and reopen the strait in a way that is safe for everyone. John?
Secretary of Energy Chris Wright told Kate yesterday they were not yet ready to escort these fuel tankers through the strait. General, the reporting
now you can see right here. See that little zero right there? That's it. Now within that little circle, right? There's a red circle here. Let me blow it up. Right there, but in that red circle. Now to the north of that red circle, and to the right of that red circle, and to the left of that red circle is a country called Iran, and it's loads of mountains. It's nothing but mountains. Nothing but mountains. Yeah. Pretty hard to invade on the ground. In fact, it won't be happening unless you want to have a whole lot of Americans killed. And didn't Trump run on that not happening? Yeah. Didn't he bitch to everybody else about we need to get our troops out of Afghanistan? And now he's sending those very same troops back to Iran. Which is just the other side of Afghanistan, by the way. Same mountains, just the other country on across the border, just the other country. They're not separated by any water. It's just they walk across the street and you're in Iran now. It's the same mountainous terrain that they are sitting there saying, anybody that wants to invade, come on. That's what they've been saying for a long ass time. And Trump is sending 5,000 Marines there right now. Yes, he is. There's 50,000 in the region, but now he's sending 5,000 to the ground somewhere. It's in the beginning. It's right on the border. Did you know that? Right on the border. I will show you in a second. Let's peep game here. In other words, you see this red circle, right? Well, there's mines in most of this. There's only a 2-mile area, right? where ships can pass through without the threat of hitting a mine. Iran can bomb this motherfucker forever. Yes, they can. They can bomb it forever, and it's going to be very hard to stop them. You know why? Because it's hard to stop a drone. Very, very hard to stop. See, a drone, it's not like you got to go out there and set up a thing to shoot a rocket up. No, you don't need a vehicle. Vehicles are easy to bomb, easy to track. You don't need to do that with these damn drones. Drones are easier to hide, easier to get off in the air, easier to target, easier to outmaneuver. So you picked a battle with a storm of bees. You went to a beehive and shook the beehive. You went to the goddamn, what's worse than a beehive, killer bees? What's worse than that? Wasp. You went to a wasp hive and just said, yeah, let me fuck with it. Ha! And yes, they fucking hate you, especially now. Okay? All that diplomacy is out the fucking window now. They hate you. Instead of dividing Afghans, man, these people nobody wants this. Everyone around the world is looking at the U.S., especially in the West. They're saying, yo, man, are you trying to kill us all or what? Are you trying to drag down the West? That's what they're all looking at Donald Trump saying. That's what they're looking at MAGA people as saying right now. Why are you trying to drag the Western world down? That is exactly what they believe. That is exactly what they're watching. And they're sitting back saying, man, we ain't joining you in this shit. That's what they're saying. They ain't going to do it because you can't do both. You can't defend the West and defend a madman. That's impossible. The madman will have you committing suicide and you won't be around later to defend the West when the real battle is off. That's the problem. Let me see here. Let me see. V, swap you to the bottom of your arguments to the top. Let me see here. Yeah, let me see. By the way, you as an American consumer pay the tariffs that puts on other countries. Yeah, China doesn't pay tariffs. Exactly. China had the lowest tariffs of all. Russia has no tariffs now. You know what I'm saying? It's really, this is all about isolating the allies of the U.S. This is hurting the allies in Asia that the U.S. had. This is hurting them. This is pinpointing them. This is controlling geopolitics. This is changing the economic game right here. That's what that's doing. This is changing the trade. This is changing the the world order. That's what this is doing and pinpointing it. Russia, China is still getting its oil and they get it any way they want to get it. Okay. The U.S., the corporations are making money off oil, but there's no caps on gas or oil for the consumer. So you're paying more prices. You see what I mean? This has been designed to kill Americans, to break them, to make them go broke, because American citizens have more guns than all the Chinese citizens and Russian citizens put together. They don't permit it in China and in Russia like that. American citizens have more guns than the Chinese citizens and Russian citizens put together. And this is why they likely want to starve out American people first. Starve you out. Break your pockets. Break your bank. Make you not be able to pay your mortgage. Make you use all your savings up. Yes. Make you lose health insurance. Make more of you die off slowly. Yeah, bring pain to this group because Putin hates you. Putin hates you. Yeah. If there's one thing Putin despises more than anything else is the United States of American citizen having fucking guns. You got to understand that because he doesn't want his own population to have guns, because if Russia had as many guns, if Russians had as many guns as the United States citizens have, they would have already fucking killed Putin. Okay, just get that straight. They hate fucking Putin. But because they don't have guns, they can't defend themselves. And it's the same thing with China. You see what I mean? So they repress the citizens, you know. Let's see here. Let's keep going. What's up, comrade?
Somehow, the administration, the National Security Council, the Pentagon maybe underestimated what Iran was willing to do in the Strait. How could that be when I know that a strait closure has been near doctrine in the U.S. for decades?
Yeah, John, I was very surprised by those, that reporting as well. In my experience, and I've spent, a couple of decades working in the Central Command area of responsibility, to include being part of, the development and the review of the concepts of operations to address.
Yo, Tom Shatley. Yeah, Tom, that's what I'm saying. It's hurting Japan and South Korea the most. It is. It is. They are isolating Japan and South Korea heavily with this, and that is going to fuck with the U.S. economy, and it's a stab at the Western economy too. Number one, South Korea makes a lot of products that get sold in the West. EVs is one of them. They make some very nice electrical cars. Well, who has invested a lot in EV infrastructure? Europe has. So Europe wants more EV car selection. Europe doesn't want to compete, alone. They want it to be mixed, diverse opportunities at EVs. And that means all types of EVs. You know what I'm saying? But there's more cell phones, communications, chips, all types of shit. You know what I mean? And so China is going to use the oil thing, and Russia, to threaten them, to make them make new trade deals. That's what this is about.
The threats that Iran poses to the region, and specifically the Strait. So I believe that CENTCOM certainly had this as a potential response option based on.
Oh, okay, comrade. Good to see you, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Offensive operations into Iran. So now the fact that potentially all the capability to start clearing the strait to allow freedom of navigation, and we may have to have additional capabilities build up to include, similar to what we had with Prosperity Guardian, to rely on our coalition partners in the Gulf states and our allies from NATO to assist. That may be forthcoming.
Let's listen to what the Secretary.
That may be forthcoming. They're going to ask. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, they're lying to American people. They already know that most NATO countries don't want to have shit to do with this, and they are pissed off, and they know that this is a trap. Very simple. It's an economic trap. It's a security trap. Very simple. Sometimes you got to know when to pass up things for your own security, so you can be in a position to fight the next big, more necessary battle. This is Trump dragging everyone into something before they can stock up their reserves. That's what this is, and that's designed to be that way. And don't come back later trying to say I didn't tell you so. You see what I mean? Like, I'm only doing this because, I am American, but at some point reason has to reign. And the moment reason does not reign over the United States of America, motherfucker, I'm out. I'm not hanging on to some bullshit. I'm not hanging on to a country that wants to operate like it doesn't give a fuck about its own citizens or the survival of its allies or the survival of its people. Fuck no. I'm not. Being American doesn't mean self-suicide. You see what I mean? And this is what Trump is turning it into. He's saying, if you want to be down with America, you got to commit suicide. And I'm in the Epstein files, too, more than anybody else. I mean, that would be the dumbest thing, to defend a motherfucking pedophile. Like, you going to defend blackmail? You going to defend espionage? You going to defend treason? Like, what the fuck? There couldn't be any more clearer signs to stay out of this. Stay out, stay out, stay out.
Just said about the Strait of Hormuz.
With AI, you can.
I asked for health care, not war. Okay, motherfucker? Like, please keep me out of this shit. And that's what I'm going to respect. Until the United States of America has universal health care, fuck all your wars, okay? Keep me out of every single war until you respect your own people first, okay? You do not respect your own people, so fuck you, Like, and I'm saying it to your face. Okay. Oh my God. Let's go.
They are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of...
Somebody desperate? Well, isn't that how they started this war? Weren't they scared? They said Iran was imminent threat. Imminent. Isn't that desperation? Weren't they desperate to defend themselves? They were scared of Iran. They was like, Iran is going to kill us if we don't act now. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Everybody. Oh, help us. International community. Iran is going to hurt us. We're scared of Iran. If we don't act now, it may be too late. We may never exist again. That's actually what they said. And now listen to his Braveheart shit.
They are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz.
Are you desperate to get other NATO countries that you disrespected to come and help you? Are you desperate for their help? Pete Hegseth, how desperate are you, you bitch? How desperate is Pete, the bitch ass Hegseth out here? Stop begging, Pete Hegseth. Stop begging for help, man. Stop it. Stop it. We see right through you. You are desperate because if Western countries don't come to your aid, you're fucked. And you will get the blame of the American people yourself. If more people come to your aid, they will still be fucked. But at least you have somebody else to blame with you. You get covered and you can say, everybody in the West thought this was the right thing to do. That's exactly what they want to do. But this mission has failed. The only thing you're going to be able to do is kill some more Iranians, get some Americans killed, and then stop and give over everything that you fought for to China and Russia, because that's how it was designed. You can't win it alone. Israel and the U.S. could never do this alone, which is why they should have never done it alone. It was designed to fail. That's all it was, and it will fail, and it's just sad. And but this is what you get when you get a motherfucking pedophile as president and you don't act. When you get a person being blackmailed as the president and you don't act, this is what you get. Sorry, should have done better.
Something we're dealing with. We have been dealing with it and don't need to worry about it. We're on plan to defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities at a pace the world has never seen before. The only thing prohibiting transit in the Straits right now is Iran shooting at shipping. It is.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at where they at. They located. Where are they located? I mean, why is it they can do this? I mean, why is the U.S. blocking shipping when it wants to block in Cuba? Why is that? The only people blocking shipping and doing anything around Cuba is the United States of America. It's no one else. It's only them. Yeah. Well, looky here. I mean, look what happens to be located right here. I mean, look what who do they think is designed to stop this shit? I mean, if you could stop trade and you could stop ships going to Cuba, why do you think Iran is not in the perfect position, better than anyone else, to stop anything from happening right there in that little itty bitty piece called the Straits of Hormuz? Why wouldn't you think that? I mean, yeah, because they actually live here. They have been existing for 1,000 years. You didn't know they existed? This shit is fucking crazy. I mean, Pete Hegseth acting like he didn't know they were there already and shit. This is bizarre. This is bizarre.
Open for
how bizarre? How bizarre?
Transit should Iran not do that. Now, there's a reason why we chose as one of our primary objectives destroy the Navy.
They can't read a fucking map, yo. Now it's like, what the fuck? Hello? We're gonna have to exterminate them all in order to get control over that goddamn thing. Is that what you're saying? And that is what they're saying. That is literally what they're saying. See, Pete Hegseth, just like Edward said, he would love to drop a nuke on Iranians. They would love to. That's how crazy these motherfuckers are. They would love to, because they hate these people because of their religion, because of their ethnicity. They hate them. And why is that? Because Pete Hegseth is no other than a ignorant ass fucking white supremacist idiot out of the United States, a KKK. Yeah, the type that went around in the 60s and in the 40s and the 30s burning motherfucking crosses and putting them on other American citizens' front lawns and terrorizing them. He is of the same belief. Okay? He thinks that was good. He thinks Jim Crow was great, was fantastic. Jim Crow is just great. That's just another wonderful American thing. You see what I mean? Terrorizing American citizens because of their color. That's what they did. You know, and Pete Hegseth is the same type. He doesn't like Jews. He hates Jews. But if you could use the issue over Israel to kill both Jews and Arabs, they're all for that shit. You see what I'm saying? They don't like none of you. When they look at you, Israelis, you look just like Arabs to them. Okay? They don't like you, just like Hitler didn't like your ass. Okay? You got to understand, you got to connect the dots together. This is not good for Israel. Netanyahu fucked over Israel more than anyone else ever could. Just like Trump has fucked over the United States more than any foreign nation ever could. So don't come crying to the people that wanted to help you, because you wouldn't listen to the people that wanted to help you.
We understood the ability to interdict shipping is something Iran has done for 40 years. It's key terrain. They've used it as leverage. The world is seeing what they'll do to fight back in that context.
Yeah, the world has seen what the United States will do to fuck over Cuba, fuck over Venezuela. Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. Does it ring a bell? That's exactly what this country, Iran, is saying. They're saying if you can do it, we can do it too, Pete Hegseth. Hey, you showed us the way, Pete Hegseth. You showed us how to use our military to put a stranglehold. Thank you very much, Pete Hegseth.
And so we've heard them talk about taking various measures, and we're planning for all of them. So we have
the maggots are coming. The maggots are coming. The maggots are coming. All you got to do is say, fuck the KKK. And here come the maggots. Here come the maggots.
Plan for every option.
Fuck Hitler. All the maggots are coming now. Come on, maggots. Fuck Hitler. Fuck the KKK. Fuck Hitler's mama. Fuck the KKK's mama. Okay?
Working with our interagency partners.
Come on, maggots.
And that's not a strait we're going to allow to remain contested or with a lack of flow of commercial goods. So we're aware of that. We're laser focused on our military objectives, but also want to make sure our partners across this government.
Did this motherfucker just say partners? Man, ain't nobody in this game but you, boy.
And understand we're working with you to make sure.
No. You ain't working with nobody. Trump doesn't need nobody. The United States is an isolationist country. It doesn't need allies. You allies. If I'm just gonna be honest, who in their right motherfucking mind that lives anywhere near here thinks that a white supremacist gives a fuck about you? Like, why would a white supremacist like Pete Hegseth give a fuck about Saudi Arabia, Israel, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Yemen, United Arab Emirates? Any of you, man, they don't know the difference between you. They don't. Look at this. Syria. Let's start off. Israel. Don't know the difference between you and a Syrian, you and a Jordanese. They don't know the difference between a Turkish person, an Iraqi, a Saudi Arabian, a Yemenese person, a person from Oman, or Iran, Afghanistan. They don't know the fucking difference. Trust me. The KKK wants you all fucking dead. Okay? And Pete Hegseth is a part of that. You see what I mean? He looks down on all of you. All. Even Israelis. Get it straight. Okay? Just get it fucking straight. Like, why don't you know this? Why don't you know this? Why don't you know the history of that KKK terrorizing Jews in America? Why don't you know that history? Why don't you know the history of them terrorizing everybody, and why? Don't you know the history of Hitler? Don't you know the bloodline, all this fake ass shit? Hitler thought that Jews were making their quote unquote Aryan bloodline weak. That's what the KKK thinks. How can you deal with that? Extermination. Do they still think that today? Yes. Okay. Very simple.
that energy flows, and that's an important part.
Let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz. It's really become the center of this war right now, and maybe more than anything else, this seems to be bringing the battle home.
Exactly. He thinks the country Georgia is down south and shit. It's like, seriously, man, these guys, man, the right wing of the United States of America has done more, has basically sold out the Western world. They sold out the Western world, and they sided with Putin. That's what's going on here. They sided with Putin, and Putin is sided with China. That is what's going on here. That's what's going on. It wasn't black Americans that sold out the West. It's these goddamn white supremacists in the United States of America. And these, the right wingers. It's them. Just understand that. No black American wanted Europeans to pay more for nothing, for gas. No black American wanted Europe's inflation to go up, or the U.S. Americans' inflation to go up. No. All black Americans said was that, hey man, shouldn't we have health care? Shouldn't we have elder care? We're the richest country on earth. Shouldn't we have education for all Americans like they have in Europe? That's all they said. That's all people like me said. I never said I wanted to take away your rights. I wanted to take away your lifestyle. If you don't like me, so what? Live where you want to live. You don't have to say hello to me. But that's a different story from saying nobody deserves education. Nobody deserves health care. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, who the fuck doesn't want American citizens all to have health care? The right wingers in America. That's who. This is their war. This ain't nobody else's war. Who wants the same type of healthcare system in Europe? What European wants that? None. What European wants the same type of education system the US has in Europe? None. That's the right wingers. That's the right wingers in the United States that want that. They wanted that, and they don't care. They didn't care about attacking Greenland. They laughed at it. Ha 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 ha. Fuck you. We do whatever we want. And now they're asking for help. Now Pete Hegseth is out here begging others for help. Shit, the worst thing you could do is help this motherfucker. Let me tell you. Americans don't want Europe to help Trump. We don't want you to help Trump do shit. We don't want you to help Pete Hegseth in any order that Pete Hegseth gives. Please, Europe, do not do anything to help Hegseth. Nobody. Canada, please do not help Hegseth. Please don't. Hegseth is a piece of shit, and he's selling out the Western world. Do not help him unless you want all of his problems on you and your people too. He is drawing you into a trap for Putin. And Pete Hegseth is a bootlicker of Trump, which makes him a bootlicker of Putin. Why? Because Putin likely has Trump on tape with little boys. Not little girls, little boys.
For the American people. Do you agree?
Well, absolutely. And a lot of people may be puzzled by it. They say, look, there's a conflict way over there. The United States does produce a lot of oil and gas. So why is the cost going up at my corner gas station? First of all, because that is also a big oil and gas region. A lot of petroleum products there, from the UAE to Saudi Arabia, a huge producer, Kuwait, Iraq, and Iran itself, and almost all.
And you know what? This is the irony. Do you think Putin gives a fuck about somebody in Arabia either? Do you think China gives a fuck about somebody in Arabia? It's only transactional. Ethnically, religiously, they fucking hate you. Like, you better get that through your brain. You see what I mean? Like, get that through your brain. Russia and China, they hate you ethnically. They fear Muslims. Ethnically, they fear you. Just understand that. This is transactional. It won't last forever. You see what I'm saying? That's why. I mean, they're just letting. I'm telling you, and it's not, and this is not just something that has something to do with Middle East. It's the same for South Americans. They don't like South Americans either. They don't, because South Americans don't have the same ideology as Russians. Even if they work with Russia, they don't have the same ideology. They know that Russia was also an imperialistic, colonialistic nation. They know that. You see what I mean? They're not stupid. You see what I'm saying? You know, so just remember this.
All of it has to come.
Remember, somebody told you.
Through this thin ribbon of water down here and pass through the very tight Strait of Hormuz. About 3,000 ships a month, about 20 million barrels of oil a day. And Iran, as you noted above, Jake, is really putting a lot of military pressure on those ships and, in effect, slamming the gates shut there at the strait and letting almost nothing through.
We've heard.
Except Chinese vessels. Except the people that do what they're asking you to do, which is really doing what Putin is asking you to do and she is asking you to do. See, you can get your oil tankers through there if you do what Putin asks you to do. If you do what she asks you to do, you won't be attacked.
Heard about the effort to mine the strait.
You don't need Trump.
Sea mines by the Iranians. What do we know about Iran's ability, their capability to do that?
We know that they have a lot of mines, and they're not the old mines that you see in World War II movies. For example, they have this type of mine, which is called an influence mine. This is just one type. This sort of mine is much more modern. It sits underwater, and it basically takes readings on what's passing above, so that if a small boat or ship goes by, it may ignore it. But if a big tanker goes by, and that's what it's been tuned to, that's when it may detonate. It will be enough to destroy it? We don't know. How many are out there? We don't know. But that uncertainty alone is also contributing to the notion that none of these ships that ought to be going out are doing so. Jake?
Tom, most of the oil
What did he just say?
from the strait goes to Asia, notably to China. So why is it impacting the U.S. this way?
Yeah, almost none of it comes to the United States. But the problem is oil is traded on a world market. Once it gets out there, it's basically being all mixed together and traded. So if I were to put barrels in the back of our warehouse here and make them represent all the oil being traded in the world, 20% of it is now not passing through the Strait of Hormuz. You simply cannot remove that much from the market without affecting shipping and trade and manufacturing. And yeah, absolutely, what all of you are likely to pay this weekend when you go to gas up your car.
Right. And, you know, the thing about it is that China is actually, their ships are passing through. Don't sleep on that. You see what I mean? And on top of it, they have other ways of getting gas from Russia. Russia is increasing gas exports. They're just doing it through, they can't do it through their pipeline with China because that's already maximized, but they're doing it through shipping in the north. You know, winter is over, yo. You got to think about this. Winter is over. It's now the warming season, which means the passages that were frozen up during the wintertime are loosening up, allowing ships now to pass through the northern part of Russia, the eastern northern part. You see what I mean? So they don't need it. They got a whole summer of shipping, yo. They got a whole summer of free lanes, China. But the people that will be affected are the people that rely only on the Straits of Hormuz. And who is that? Just think about who that is. Yeah, exactly. Because again, they need to buy the oil from that region. They're not buying the oil. Japan is not looking to buy oil from Russia. The moment that happens, Japan is joining Russia's political side. You know, so they're trying to find other ways, and the allies are working other ways. You know what I mean? But it's amazing that legacy media in the United States is not talking about what other people are doing. They're not telling you anything about what the allies are doing, and I'm telling you this, they're not. CNN is not telling American citizens shit right now, you know, and that's a sad fucking thing, because don't you dare think that everybody else is just sitting around twiddling their fingers waiting for Trump to solve this problem for them. They are not, and they're not even interested in entering this conflict. Why is that? Why is everyone else not interested in falling for this scam that has been created? It has been created by Trump. Why? Why are they not going to do it? Let's just pull out on the map and see. You can just pull out on the map and see. Let me see here. Open this up. Okay. Boom. Can we do this? Right. Now, can you stop doing that? Right. Can we shut that down? Right. Come on. Now, here we go. So you can see here, let me just pull this up. You can see, look, you got this area. All of these people are looking for opportunities, but China's military is increasing on the seas here. They're looking to control this. Pete Hegseth, Trump, it's the same shakedown game. The U.S. military is not really trying to help. Don't you understand the U.S. military is basically threatening these countries? That's what they're really doing without saying it. It's like passive aggression. It's not direct aggression. It's passive aggression. You see what I mean? Then you have Taiwan in the same issue, same situation going on with Taiwan, right? The U.S. is threatening Taiwan passively. You see what I mean? Here we go. Here's Taiwan right here. You see? There's Taiwan. Let's pull this back out. You see? Right? Pull out here. So there's some hurdles here. They need to get oil. Of course, they're going to be making deals. I don't know if it's Malaysia, I think, or parts of Indonesia that have oil. They will be making some different oil deals there. You see what I mean? But this is getting precarious. But as far as shipping, they can ship from the U.S., right? They can try this kind of thing, right? Alaska. You see what I mean? Or they can go this way, this direction. Right? You see? But this is a long way to ship oil from West Africa, South America. And you see what I'm saying? So it is going to put stress on our allies, the United States allies, Japan, South Korea, Philippines. You know what I'm saying? It's going to put stress on them. And so they're building up. They're building up. And at some point, if Trump does not get the fuck out of power, the people are going to be looking at a World War III, basically. That's a problem. And of course, Trump is not going to tell you he's inviting you to World War III. You have to be smart enough to see the signs, for what they are, and stay away from those signs. Take heed of those signs, not fall for the okie doke. But when you look at Europe's plan, here, let me flip this back over. When you look at what Europe is doing, right? Here we go. Europe is developing new relations and has been since Biden was in office. You see what I mean? So Europe is just above Africa. So they already been establishing new oil outlets in West Africa, new trading partners in West Africa and in South America. That's what they've been doing heavily. So all they have is the Atlantic. They got free roam over the Atlantic. So they're not having any issue doing trade here. Europe, the EU just made two big trade deals, the biggest in history. One with South America and one with Asia, and that includes India also. But you should look more into that, right? So Europe is going to be defending its trade. That's what they're going to be focused on. This thing right here. Now you see where this comes into play. You see this thing right here. They don't want to fucking focus on, because you can't focus on both at the same time. It's too much. You see, Europe already has Ukraine. So Europe is going to be looking to not focus on this. Why? Because that's their worst option. There it is. So they likely will not be taking the bait. Just understand that. They likely won't be. So let's go
U.S.
on.
Central Command, CENTCOM, just posted on its social media account that they're aware of the loss of a U.S. KC-135 refueling aircraft. The post goes on to say that there was an incident. It occurred in friendly airspace. 2 aircraft were involved in the incident. One of the aircraft went down in western Iraq. The second landed safely. CENTCOM says
this is what they're saying. This is what CENTCOM is reporting, right? And you got to ask yourself, are they being honest about this? I don't think you have any reason to believe that they're being honest about the cause, right? Because shit happens when you're testing weapons, right? And this war is definitely any interaction in this region with U.S. military. China is going to be watching extremely close to study how you maneuver and to get their hands on any U.S. equipment whatsoever. Yes, because the more equipment they have to study, break down, dissect, the easier it is going to be in the next conflict, the real conflict, the major conflict, to be able to have a real chance at stopping you. That means having a few of your a few of your planes, and getting the technology out of it. You see what I'm saying? These kind of things. And they've been doing that. It could be fighter jets. Yeah. Can they get their hands on some fighter jets? Yeah. Can they? Can they get their hands on an F-35? That would be wonderful for China. It would be wonderful for Russia too. They can dissect it, break it down, reverse engineer it, then give their pilots the advantage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And reverse engineer that and then weaponize it against U.S. troops. You see what I'm saying? So China wants the U.S. to be engaged. China wants others. Europe, you can come on, be engaged. Bring your aircraft there. Bring your soldiers there. Bring whatever equipment you want so we can study what you're doing. You see, you're not fighting us militarily right now. You're fighting Iran. So be stupid enough to bring your equipment there. Your best equipment. Please do. We invite you. That's what's going on. And so if you believe CENTCOMs, okay, you believe them. But remember, this is the Trump administration. And Trump administration is known for doing something more than anybody else that's lying to your ass every day of the week with no problem at all. Right. So you go back there and you look into that if you want. You believe them if you want. I'm just not going to believe it. Period. Fuck it. I don't believe it at all. Miss me with that shit. And yeah, I will catch you on the backside, on the flip side. Now, let's see what they say more about this plane, though.
And U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, just posted on its social media account that they're aware of the loss of a U.S. KC-135 refueling aircraft. The Post goes on to say that there was an incident. It occurred in friendly airspace. 2 aircraft were involved in the incident. One of the aircraft went down in western Iraq. The second landed safely. CENTCOM says this was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire. We're joined now by Pennsylvania Democratic Representative Chrissy Houlihan. She served in the U.S. Air Force and is a member of the Armed Services and Intelligence Committees in the House. This just happened, so I know what we know about it. What you know about it might be very limited, but can you give us any idea of what happened or what this sounds like to you, an Air Force veteran?
Sure. So this is a really large.
Yeah. What's up, love? I see you.
Large refueling aircraft. There are hundreds of them in service, mostly in times like this, doing exactly what they're designed for, which is to refuel both bombers and also smaller jets, as an example. And they fly with a boom that is able to attach to a smaller or larger plane and deliver fuel. So that extends the range of each of these planes very considerably. It's sort of a leapfrog effect from one place to another. And so it is, without any more information than you have, entirely possible that there was some sort of an accident in the process of refueling that would have involved both aircraft, and that one might have gone to safety, as the tweet seems to indicate, and one might have gone possibly to ground. And there seem to be some sort of efforts on recovery of the aircraft and also of rescue. And so that's effectively what we know. And what we also know is that this is the cost of war. It's enormously complex. The logistics of getting...
That's funny because that's what Hexex said. It's the cost of war. That's what he said about people dying. It's the cost of war. It's just the cost of war. Yeah. Yeah, no duh. No shit, Sherlock. We know. But does this sound like propaganda? Does this sound like someone trying to sell a positive view, a positive outlook on this? Because, you know, if you don't know, you don't know. What if it's the worst? What is the other story? What if it's that happening?
All of this stuff, people and product across oceans, is an enormously hazardous...
I mean, they're gaslighting people. They don't know that American citizens already know this. No shit, Sherlock. That's why you want to try not to do this
effort, and one that requires everything to go exactly right. And so we won't know probably for a while what actually happened, but that's effectively what's likely to have happened.
Obviously, the greatest cost of war has to do with our fallen service members and our wounded service members. We know of 7 who have been killed, more than 140 wounded, and that was from a few days ago. We don't know what this will result in this accident. Hopefully nothing, but it's tough to say.
You're getting more details on this crash. This KC-135 refueling aircraft missing. CENTCOM says it went down over western Iraq. What are you learning?
Yeah, to be clear, CENTCOM says that there was no hostile or friendly fire involved in this incident, but our Pentagon team understand from a US official that the second aircraft was also a KC-135 refueling aircraft and that at least 5 crew members were on board the one that crashed. Now, search and rescue operations...
So, does that make sense? Listen to what just happened. You know, so these are 2 fueling aircrafts. Is that what they just said? So they weren't fueling at the time. It's just 2 fueling aircrafts. Hold on.
Second aircraft.
Let's see here. Let me take that back one more time.
Effectively, what
I'm going to let this play. I just want to make sure I got the whole gist of this.
doing exactly what they're.
What you know about it might be very limited, but can you give us any idea of what happened or what this sounds like to you, an Air Force veteran?
Sure. So this is a really large refueling aircraft. There are hundreds of them in service, mostly in times like this, doing exactly what they're designed for, which is to refuel both bombers and also smaller jets, as an example. And they fly with a boom that is able to attach to a smaller or larger plane and deliver fuel. So that extends the range of each of these planes very considerably. It's sort of a leapfrog effect from one place to another. And so it is, without any more information than you have, entirely possible that there was some sort of an accident in the process of refueling that would have involved both aircraft, and that one might have gone to safety, as the tweet seems to indicate, and one might have gone possibly to ground. And there seemed to be some sort of efforts on recovery of the aircraft and also of rescue. And so that's effectively what we know. And what we also know is that this is the cost of war. It's enormously complex. The logistics of getting all of this stuff, people and product, across oceans is an enormously hazardous effort, and one that requires everything to go exactly right. And so we won't know.
So I did hear that right. That's basically, I hate to tell this, but this sounds like propaganda right here, and it's CNN, but it sounds like propaganda because this, what she's saying is suggesting right here that there was a fueling plane, right, that had a boom, right, that was connecting to another plane to refuel it. And then the next clip says something completely different. Let it play.
Probably for a while what actually happened, but that's effectively what's likely to have happened.
Obviously, the greatest cost of war has to do with our fallen.
She was wrong. You see that? Like, she's like, that was likely to be what happened, but that's not actually what happened. Listen, this is crazy right here. And just keep in mind, remember that she tried to sell a positive look on this.
Everything to go exactly right.
And they use Pete Hegseth words. This is the cost of war.
Right. And so we won't know probably for a while what actually happened, but that's effectively what's likely to have happened.
Obviously, the greatest cost of war has to do with our fallen service members and our wounded service members. We know of 7 who have been killed, more than 140 wounded, and that was from a few days ago. We don't know what this will result in this accident. Hopefully nothing, but it's tough to say.
You're getting more details on this crash. This KC-135 refueling aircraft missing. CENTCOM says it went down over western Iraq. What are you learning?
Yeah, to be clear, CENTCOM says that there was no hostile or friendly fire involved in this incident, but our Pentagon team understand from a US official that the second aircraft was also a KC-135 refueling aircraft and that at least 5 crew members were on board the one. Team understand from a US official that the second aircraft was also a KC-135 refueling aircraft and that at least 5 crew members were on board the one that crashed. Now, search and rescue operations.
So you hear that? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like right there. So, I mean, what she just said totally contradicts what was just said right there. They were not in the middle of refueling. This had nothing to do with a boom. This was 2 of the same type of refuelers that crashed. I mean, that I guess had some sort of issue with each other. This is crazy, man. Let's see here.
The aircraft was also
over western Iraq. What are you learning?
Yeah, to be clear, CENTCOM says that there was no hostile or friendly fire involved in this incident, but our Pentagon team understand from a US official that the second aircraft was also a KC-135 refueling aircraft, and that at least 5 crew members were on board the one that crashed. Now, search and rescue operations are underway. The aircraft is technically missing.
The aircraft is missing. So who's to say that this wasn't tampered with? Who's to say that this is not a military operation that took down that aircraft? Who's to say that? Right now they don't know, and right now they can't find their airplane. And if they get a hold on any of those passengers of that airplane or any parts, useful parts of that airplane, they can redesign it and learn a lot about U.S. infrastructure, flights, and they can use that against the United States in any further war from this point on. That's a problem. And that's why you don't engage in stupid shit with nations that are not superpowers. Like, you don't expose your whole country just because some country like Iran wants to have a fight one day. Duh. You get someone else to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what about your goddamn proxies? Let them do something. Why the fuck do you have to involve your own technology in fighting someone to give them an opportunity to learn? You know, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. And I'm just saying, Europe, you want to survive? You won't dare send any of your motherfucking military over there to have China observing your technology either. Nah. Just wait it out, because stupid is what stupid does.
At this point, and I think there were lots of questions asked as to exactly how these 2 refueling aircraft, who can often operate in cells in the sky, got into this particular incident. Now, the number of crew on board, 5 in the one.
Operation Epstein. Kingsman, what's up?
That is indeed
Jeffrey Epstein's vacation. What's up to you?
Missing. You would normally expect 3 or 4 crew members to be on board a KC-135, perhaps 1 or 2.
China is taking notes. For real.
More for navigation.
And that's and you can't hate on them, because I'm not with the Chinese government. Fuck that. I'm with my own. I would like to be for my country. You know what I'm saying? But my country makes it fucking hard. The U.S. makes it really goddamn hard for me to be with this shit at all. I can't be with this shit. This shit is dumb and suicidal. And also anti-American, you know. But what's up? What's up? It's 6339. Also, yeah, this is crazy. I agree. Don't be foolish and put your own country in the middle of Trump's shit show. Yeah, don't. Please listen. Europe, Canada, the rest of you, Mexico, anybody else. Please don't do it. Don't come out. This is an invitation. This is a setup. That's what this is. This is a setup. This is a setup. You're being set up. Like, stay out of this one if you want to survive. If you want to have a chance to fight tomorrow, don't go for the setup. This is bullshit.
Navigators, or alternatively, that larger number might suggest it could have been a medical evacuation craft. All unclear at this moment.
A medical evacuation craft? Okay, so they you know. Okay.
But still an urgent moment, certainly, in which U.S. rescue workers are desperately trying to locate these crew members. I think, Erin, you may, near your position there, close to Ben Gurion Airport in Israel, according to some of the open source data we've been seeing on flight monitors, one of those 2 KC-135s did a lot of circling near where you were, possibly dumping fuel, put out an emergency signal earlier on today. We understand that may well be connected to that particular incident, indeed be that second plane.
All right, I'm gonna try to find out. I saw your message, by the way. Somebody said something about China-Israel ties. Yeah, I saw that. I'm checking it out. Just give me some minutes. Now let me see here. I want to find out where this plane landed. They said it was in northwestern Iran. Is that what they said? Northwestern Iran. That's near Azerbaijan or Armenia or Iraq or Syria or Turkey. Okay. Let me just pull that back and just hear that one more time.
Often operate in cells.
Here we go.
But our Pentagon team understand from a US official that the second aircraft was also a KC-135 refueling aircraft, and that at least 5 crew members were on board the one that crashed. Now, search and rescue operations are underway. The aircraft is technically missing at this point, and I think there were lots of questions asked as to exactly how these 2 refueling aircraft, who can often operate in cells in the sky, got into this particular incident. Now, the number of crew on board, 5 in the one that is indeed missing. You would normally expect 3 or 4 crew members to be on board a KC-135, perhaps 1 or 2 more for navigators.
Now, that jet is not. These planes were not refueling at this time, I don't think. Or were they refueling? Maybe they were. Maybe they're the same type of plane. One was, they say, is medical, but I wouldn't even believe that. I'm gonna be honest with you, because why would you tell people what's on your planes? That doesn't make any sense either. Why would you just volunteer what the plane was? Sounds to me like this medical plane, evacuation plane, is actually, you can't trust that either, right? Because for security reasons, you wouldn't tell people what it is, but even if it gets, even in the media, why would you tell CNN what kind of plane it was? Why would you offer that information? Is that in your best interest? Probably not. But this is not the type of plane right here that is falling. The one that's the fueler is one possibly. Yeah, is one possibly. And the other plane is big, just like the fueler. Same type of jet as the fueler, used for different purposes. So it's not this little jet. Okay, it's a big one, a big boomer one. But let's listen, because I want to see where they say the plane dropped down. And that's probably not totally true information either, but I'm just curious.
Alternatively, that larger number might suggest it could have been a medical evacuation craft. All unclear at this moment, but still an urgent moment, certainly, in which U.S. rescue workers are desperately...
Now, they say could have been. You see, he said, listen to the words, could have been. So that means it also could not have been.
That larger number might suggest it could have been a medical evacuation craft.
A medical evacuation. You see that? Could have been. So there's 2 of these planes. It sounds to me like somebody's fucking around with the information, but there's 2 planes, same type of plane. One of them, they had an incident they say it's not friendly fire. They say it's not anything, not hostile fire. It's just a glitch, and now one of them is lost and was spilling fuel on its way down. So I want to hear where they say they went down at.
All unclear at this moment, but still an urgent moment, certainly, in which U.S. rescue workers are desperately trying to locate these crew members. I think, Erin, you may, near your position there, close to Ben Gurion Airport in Israel, according to some of the open source data we've been seeing on flight monitors, one of those 2 KC-135s did a lot of circling near where you were, possibly dumping fuel, put out an emergency signal earlier on today. We understand that may well be connected to that particular incident, indeed be that second plane. But another, I think, stark reminder of the risks that US personnel endure every day, even though this incident appears to have been something of an accident. Early information at this point, though, Erin.
Notice how they're stressing that early information.
Yeah, well, obviously raising a lot of questions, as you say, why there were 2, why there may have been more people on board crew than usual. Was that medical related? What does that mean for obviously we don't know a lot.
You believe
about
that?
and what is happening more broadly in this war.
CNN political commentator Adam Kinzinger piloted these exact planes in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. The former congressman joins us now. So, Congressman, you flew this type of plane for 2 years, including during combat. It obviously a critically important aircraft in the fleet of the Air Force. What's your reaction to the news that one has gone down? According to CENTCOM, it was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire.
All right. So before he gets started, here's the breakdown. the recent KC-135 crash, March 2026. I'm sorry. The U.S. military KC-135 Stratotanker, a refueling plane, went down during Operation Epic Fury, the ongoing joint U.S.-Israeli campaign against Iran. And they're trying to draw in NATO. Please, nobody else in NATO, don't do that. Please don't do that. And remember who tried to attack Greenland. And remember who stood up and spoke out publicly against that. I don't know. Did Netanyahu speak out against the U.S. attacking Greenland? You should think about that. Why would you come to the defense of someone who's not coming to your defense, at least verbally? Just think about that. That's all I'm saying. Can't have NATO nations attacking each other. That wouldn't be a good thing, would it? I just wonder what Netanyahu thought about that idea. Did he make any public statements? Let's find that out too. But I'm not really interested. You know what I'm saying? Forget it. Blah, blah, blah. All right, now let's go back to this one. The plane went down in western Iraq. 6 crew members were confirmed killed. They're dead. That's what the U.S. military said. How did they know that? Yeah, that's a good question. While Iranian state media claimed their allied forces militias hit the plane with a missile, U.S. Central Command has stated the loss was not due to hostile fire. That's an interesting detail. So you mean someone alleges they hit it with a missile, and you're saying that, nah, that couldn't be possible at all. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. 2 tankers were flying together. One landed safely while the other crashed. Historic incidents after, okay, blah, 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 blah. What? You mean there's been other shit like this happening before? Okay. Well, I tell you what, on a big mission, right? On a huge mission, what probably China and Russia would really love to do is to find that plane, right? Because why? If it's a refueler, you could learn things about U.S. refuelers in combat, right? That would be a good thing, because if you can't refuel, then how long is your war really going to? What's the distance your war is going to be doing? How will the numbers look at a distance if you don't have refuelers? How long can you sustain your engagement before you have to go away and refuel to some other place? And if you got a refueler, here's another thing to think about. Wouldn't they like to use NATO bases to refuel? They would probably like to do that. But since Trump decided to attack NATO nations, you know what I'm saying? They're probably less likely to want to help. You see what I mean? And if you look at the distance, the U.S. has military bases, and they have military in NATO countries, right? They got some military somewhere, in the Baltic Sea. Can you see the Baltic Sea from here? Yeah, here we go. They got some in the Baltic Sea, probably some in somewhere. But the thing is that look at the distance. So that fueler, what country was that? Matter of fact, let me ask, where did that fueler come from? What nation did those fuelers take off from? Let me see. I'm curious about that. I mean, because don't they have it in the Middle East, in Iran? I mean, no, in the Middle East already? Like, why do they wouldn't need NATO anyway, right? For these refuelers, or would they? Based on the flight trafficking data, the military reports from the incident March 12, 2026, those tankers took off from Israel. So, specifically, there you go. That's interesting. That's another interesting note. So those tankers took off from Israel. That's why I like looking this shit up myself, because that way I don't have to guess. Right. So they took off from here. And they came to here, over into this area, and got their ass shot down. So what were they refueling? Like, what did they need to refuel? What's going on in the air? So there must be some active. There must be some. I don't know what's happening. Like, what is it? Planes in the air? Like, are they not firing from ships and boats? Like, so are they really trying to say the U.S.? Yeah, that's one detail I forgot. The U.S. is trying to avoid Yemen. Right, they're trying to. This area right here, Pakistan, Afghanistan. It's starting to sound like the U.S. military doesn't sound too safe in this area right here, because they're taking off from Israel. But wouldn't they rather send warships there to attack Iran? Yeah, they probably would like that, right? That would make a lot of sense, right? Send an aircraft carrier there. But the refuelers, so they're fueling up in Israel, and then they're coming over here to. Now, let me ask one other question. what planes were they refueling that are in the Advance? What the fuck? Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like, what is that about? What were they refueling? In context to the ongoing Operation Epic Fury, the March 2026 campaign, the KC-135 Stratotankers that fly out of Israel are refueling a massive strike package of advanced aircraft. Okay, the specific aircraft planes that they are keeping in the air, okay, are stealth fighter bombers. Okay, currently forward deployed to Odva Air Base, okay, in Israel. Okay, so those things took off from Israel, so they're flying around and they need to be refueled so they don't have to come back and land, so they can't be tracked so easily. Is that what that is about? Because they have relatively short range and high fuel consumption in combat. They rely heavily on tankers to maintain stealth dominance over Iranian airspace. That's what that's about. F-35 Lightning II A and C variants. The U.S. Air Force operations F-35A from land bases, while the Navy operates the F-35C from carrier like USS Gerald Ford. Both, okay, types utilize tankers. Okay, so where's the Gerald Ford located right now? I'm curious about that. Okay, so Gerald Ford doesn't carry gas for these planes. Navy operates carriers like from the USS Gerald Ford, both types. Okay, maybe they want to avoid tracking though. I'm not, listen, so this is starting to sound like, if I was China, I would be trying to learn how they do all of this. Like, how do they refuel in the sky? Yeah, that's what I would be. How does a F-35 refuel in the sky? How do they do that successfully in stealth? How does a bomber, F-22 how do Raptors, right? How do they refuel in the sky? This is the perfect opportunity to watch that, to learn from that. Because if China was to go to war with the U.S., that would be a helpful detail to have. Okay, so let me see here. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, right? That would be good to learn how the U.S. Fuels them. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to get caught while you're fueling, by the way. That's two planes connected. They can't just break away from each other. They're both targets at that point. Sounds to me like that's also a possibility about what happened. Right? I mean, who else is in those skies? But Iran says that it was a missile that knocked their ass down. So, multi-role strike aircraft. Damn, these have been workhorses of the campaign. Notably, 3 F-15s were lost earlier this month in a separate friendly fire event incident over Kuwait. This is what they over Kuwait. Let me take a look at that over Kuwait. Let me just zoom in. Kuwait, there it is, right there. So this is right there. Okay, that's in striking distance of Iran. Also, Kuwait. Yeah, y'all saw that. So that's right here, Kuwait. Okay, that's just across the water from Iran. Okay, so damn, I'm glad I bothered to look at this. Okay, so notably, 3 of those were lost. F-15s over Kuwait. They call it friendly fire too. What a coincidence, you know. So maybe this time they were like, we don't want to call it friendly fire. So they even said this is not even from friendly fire. It's just they don't know what happened, right? Yeah. It's not enemy fire, it's not friendly fire. F-A-18E Super Hornets, these launched from carriers in the Gulf of Oman. Okay. The Gulf of Oman. So that means they have something here. So they have, I wonder where that is. Do they mean like here? Where is that ship located? They said the Gulf of Oman. So that would be around here. Yeah, Oman. That would probably be, closer. The farthest away they could get, right? Something like that. So they could stay out of strike range of Iran or safety distance. They don't want to just be targets, right? So let me see here. That would cause a lot more work. So Gulf of Oman, but often links up with land-based tankers. Okay, damn. Okay, because they can land and tank up quick too. Okay, specialized support planes. AE-18G Growlers. These electronic attack planes are advanced versions of the Super Hornet designed to jam Iranian radar. They fly alongside the stealth fighters and need constant refueling to stay on station. Okay, RC, damn, that's good. That's interesting news. RC-135 rivet joints. These are large spy planes that gather intelligence because they stay in the air for extremely long shifts to monitor Iranian communications. They cycle through the tankers regularly. Summary of the March 12th incident. All right, so now let's get back to this now. I just wanted to peep that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible news, obviously. You know, you're always wondering if you know the cruise, but it's been a while since I've flown it. But, you know, what the tanker flies, it's inherently safe, but it does do some dangerous things. You know, obviously air refueling. Two planes are getting very close to each other. And then sometimes these planes fly formation, and especially at nighttime. I don't know if this happened at night, but nighttime formation, when you have your transponders off and you're using what's called an air-to-air TACAN, that's stuff that can get dangerous. And, you know, this is the first tanker to have crashed. One went down in Afghanistan maybe 10 years ago. But obviously our thoughts and prayers are with the crew and the families. Unfortunately, the Air Force took parachutes off of these things about 10 or 15 years ago to try to save a little bit of weight for gas. And I don't know if this is a situation where those could have come in handy, but I think it's sad that they took them off, unfortunately.
Are there, I mean, what kind of emergency procedures would there be aboard this type of an aircraft?
So there's emergency procedures for everything, except if you end up colliding with another plane, because you never know what that's going to look like, how it's going to happen. Basically, if you have a collision, the whole thing is try to get the plane safely landed as quickly and safely as you can. There is a procedure called a breakaway, which is when you're actually refueling another aircraft, in which the tanker puts the throttles full forward and climbs while the receiving aircraft drops. That I've had a few close calls on that one, but there are procedures. But if this was like an air-to-air flying in formation, they accidentally hit each other, at that point it's just do everything you can as a crew to get it on the ground. And it sounds like the other aircraft was able, thankfully, to safely land.
5 on board and a missing aircraft. Obviously, it is in the dark of the night over western Iraq right now. We could be looking at more terrible loss of life tonight.
That's correct. And I think, as Nick, I think, pointed out, it highlights it's inherently dangerous business. Military aviation, ships and submarines at sea, it's inherently dangerous. And our hearts need to go out to those families. There's an entire squadron or wing of families waiting to hear about their loved ones, just like just about anyone whose loved ones are deployed to the region as a whole. Right, this is in Western Iraq in friendly skies, but it's a region-wide effort, and there are a lot of service members involved and at risk.
And Jeremy, you know, when we hear about what Nick's reporting about potentially the other aircraft involved having to dump fuel possibly around Ben Gurion here, you know, obviously this airport with some repatriation flights, but essentially the only aircraft in the sky here are military aircraft that we see.
And we can see the landing and the takeoff path of those aircraft from Ben Gurion from our position here. And it has been a continuous flow of these aircraft coming in and out, even in the days before this attack began from the United States and Israel. It was one of the first real signs that this was going to happen.
So they say that there are 13 to 15 service members, U.S. service members killed, right, so far, right, and almost 200 wounded. That's what they're saying, okay? So, yeah, let's continue.
At least a dozen, I believe, KC-135 planes.
That's a lot of people for just this. They're not even calling it a war yet. That's a lot of people. 200 wounded and 15 deaths. That's a lot. Keep in mind, all of that for Iran. Okay?
Planes have been positioned at Ben Gurion Airport.
That's not that great. I mean, yeah.
I think you could.
Yeah, how long has this been happening? How long has this been going on? A week now? Something like that? Yeah. it doesn't sound, those numbers don't sound good if you ask me. Those sound like bad numbers.
See,
Like,
they're on the tarmac.
Yeah, that we're positioned there, and it was an indication that this was going to be a joint U.S.-Israeli operation that, of course, began, I think, the next day after we started to see those aircraft.
Yeah, so of course, I mean, you know, look, everyone just will pray that there is not such a tragedy, such a loss of life. But, you know, Western Iraq, as General Petraeus was.
damn, it says Israel only lost 2 soldiers. Is that right? Is that right? Hold on. How many soldiers has Israel lost in this engagement? Damn, that's only 2. Yo, y'all, man, I hope there's something wrong with that. Let me just make sure. Yeah, 2 Israeli soldiers. Yeah, and this is with Hezbollah militants. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. I mean, you know, yeah. Here, let's see here. Why are Israeli military losses so low? No ground invasion. Unlike previous conflicts, this is almost entirely an air and missile war. Israel is using Air Force IAF to strike from a distance, so troops are not currently engaged in house-to-house fighting. Okay, super missiles, defense systems. Yeah, but damn. So is this, what is this, man? Hold on. 14 military IDF. There's 14 have been injured. Let me see. How many? Let me let this play. Let me dig this last thing up here. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I got this right. Here we go.
Just confirmed that 4 crew members were killed when a U.S. military refueling aircraft crashed.
They don't keep the numbers right. They say they going from 4 to 5
in Iraq. Rescue efforts, we're told, are ongoing to try to locate the other 2 crew members. The cause of the crash under investigation, but the Pentagon has already said, though, that it was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire. Put that all together, that means at least 11 U.S. troops have now been killed in the war with Iran, a conflict now entering day 14, and all eyes remain on. Okay,
so it's even higher than that. This is not even, yeah, so I'm right. It's only 2. It's only 2. So let's see here. Yeah, let's move on from that one. There's only 2 Israelis military that have lost their life in this last war. So far, it's 15 American military and 200 wounded American military so far.
We're learning more about that deadly strike on an Iranian school that killed at least 168 children and 14 teachers. 2 sources briefed on the preliminary findings of an ongoing military investigation tell CNN the U.S. military accidentally hit the school. The sources say the mistake likely occurred because of outdated information about a nearby Iranian naval base. Joining us now, CNN State Department reporter Jennifer Hansler. Jennifer, I want to start with you. What more did this initial investigation find?
Well, Wolf, according to these 2 sources who were briefed on that preliminary finding of the ongoing investigation, U.S. Central Command had used this outdated intelligence from the Defense Intelligence Agency to compile the strike coordinates for this deadly strike. Now, these strikes happened on February 28th when they were targeting an IRGC base in Manab, Iran. However, back in 2013, the base and the school were all part of one compound, according to satellite images. 3 years later, images showed that a fence had been constructed to separate the school from the base.
Ronnie,
and
what's
fast
up?
forward, Wolf, to December 2025, there was imaging of school children, people milling about a courtyard, potentially playing in that courtyard. Now, the Defense Intelligence Agency said,
Yeah, I appreciate that. 45. Got you, man.
That there was an investigation ongoing. They would not comment further than that.
Yeah, they say it's an accident, but now it's confirmed. It's pretty much confirmed this was the U.S. They killed this many people, man. Girls in a girls' school, bombed the school, and who's going to take responsibility for that? Well, we know no one in the U.S. government plans on doing that right now. So, hey.
U.S. Central Command pointed to that ongoing investigation, but Wolf, all of this supporting the growing evidence that the U.S. was behind that.
Yeah, exactly. We get into that, man. They sending 5,000 U.S. Marines over there right now. Who knows where I'm going to be curious where they send them in at. But it sounds to me like it's going to be a ground invasion, and they did request like maybe 5 days ago that some special operations people, I think it's people that go there to speak from the CIA, to go there and speak. We're talking about, from the CIA, a couple hundred to go on the ground in advance to, I guess it's to talk about giving weapons to people on the ground to possibly invade Iran. So it sounds like it's going to be an invasion. You know what I'm saying? And so you MAGA people out there, I guess you have to say it's not an invasion. It's not an invasion. And of course, we won't know until it happens. But look, it's the same thing. I mean, who gives a fuck? When people talk about war, foreign wars, what they talk about is U.S. military people dying and the money spent on foreign shit, attacking, dropping bombs, missiles, military action. That's what most sane people mean when they say war. They don't mean like, is it called a war or is it called an excursion? No one gives a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is enough. It's enough. Okay? This is enough. It costs taxpayers' lives and it costs Americans' military lives. That's enough. That's what they mean when they say war. They don't care what you call it. And this engagement, by the way, if you don't want to call it a war, is costing $1 billion a day. Do you know what that could do for healthcare in the United States of America? Do you know what that could do for education and housing in the United States of America? When have you ever had this type of money? Where, this is the money they're cutting from all to gut all those things. And they're going to spend it over here. You see what I mean? And part of that spending went to kill or bomb those little girls in that school, which as an American citizen, I don't have nothing to do with. I rebuke that 100% that if the United States military bombed that fucking school, that is totally wrong. It doesn't matter whose school you're bombing. Utterly wrong. It doesn't matter if they have a different religion. It doesn't matter what they think. Children are not supposed to be a part of war. It is not the children's fault what adults do anywhere else on earth. Anywhere. Not in the United States. Not in Iran. Children are off hands. You see what I'm saying? And civilians really should be off hands. God damn. What the fuck? Since when do we start killing civilians and saying it's okay? When did that happen?
Deadly strike on the school that killed some 180 civilians, including those 168 school children. And there are growing questions now as to why that outdated intelligence was used to compile these coordinates. There is a group of Democratic senators who have pressed the Defense Department for answers on this.
Yeah, send ICE over there. ICE, get your ass over there in Iran. Go invade Iran, ICE. Get your tough asses over there since you want to treat your own citizens like shit.
But this is an incredibly costly error in terms of civilian lives if it does play out in that final investigation that the U.S. was responsible for this, Wolf.
All right, Jennifer Hansler at the State Department, thank you very, very much.
The preliminary findings of the U.S. military's investigation into that strike on a girls' school in Iran, which blames American targeters who sources tell us likely used outdated information about a nearby naval base accidentally hitting the school. You can see on this aerial photo how close the school is to the military facility. 168 children, 14 teachers were killed, according to the Iranian state media. CNN's Kristen Holmes asked the president about it.
A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it.
Trump is going to sell out everybody. That's how quick he does that. I don't know anything about it. And now he's officially blamed this whole war on Hegseth, Mark Rubio, even his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Everyone who advised him, he's now saying he only did it because of their advice. He don't know nothing about the rest, really, not personally. That's crazy.
You'll recall
he don't know nothing about it.
State media. CNN's Kristen Holmes.
Investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it.
I don't know about it.
Found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it.
You don't know about it.
Has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it.
Yeah, so he doesn't know about it. Let me see here. Let me see. Don't you think every era is costly one? Yeah, of course. Every era is every era is a costly one. Yeah. In this context, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't cause harm and it's a learning opportunity to improve, then no. But if you're talking about this in military engagements and lives, like here, active in battle, yes, it's costly. In training, no. Errors, not necessarily. They could be learned from. You learn things through trial and error. You know what I'm saying? That's why you want to train, to find out where your weaknesses are and where your errors can come out and be more exploited. You see what I mean? But when you're in a real engagement with the enemy, you might not want to make too many errors. You might want to be cautious.
You recall, he's not always been so reticent.
Yeah, and Barron should send his ass over there first. The billionaires, all the billionaires' family members should go first. Elon Musk, take your ass over there. Peter Thiel, take your ass over there, since you got 3 passports. Let's start with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, since we don't know how loyal they are to the United States. Let them go prove it by taking their ass over there and lead the battle with the Marines. Be on the front line and go in there and change the whole society yourself. Be the first to die for your boy Trump's mission. Okay? And Peter Thiel, you still young enough. Elon Musk too. You can take your ass over there, man. Yeah, you could be our human shield. Exactly. What's up, Alan? Let them be our.
Mr. President, to the United
And Farmer John, take your ass over there too. And I definitely know you don't own a farm. And do you even get a paycheck from any farm? Farmer John, you don't even want to work on a farm. You wouldn't survive in America working on a farm. In fact, are you one of these people they done kicked out for working on a farm? I mean, come on.
United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war, kill 170.
No, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran. We think it was done by Iran. Because they're very inaccurate, as you know. The only side that targets civilians is Iran. We think it was done by Iran.
You hear that? Trump just makes shit up at any time. He's on the fly making up lies. He heard Pete say one thing and you saw his brain start working. Look, look at his fucking head. Look at Trump. Hold on. Let me just play this back because there can be no mistake here. Let's look at his head and his whole face. This is incredible. This is who you talking about. Listen to this engagement here.
First day of the war, kill 170.
No, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran. We think it was done by Iran.
You see how quick Trump made that up? You see how at will he just made that up right there in your face without one little flinch. This is what people get, man.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran. We think it was done by Iran.
It took no seconds for that to translate into, we think it was done by Iran. That's not what Pete Hegseth was even trying to goddamn say. And Trump just flipped that around into something totally different. Totally different. Look at this. This is crazy, man. This is crazy.
You recall, he's not always been so reticent.
Mr. President, did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war, kill 170?
No, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran. We think it was done by Iran. Because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by
Okay. So yeah, so they were trying to avoid any type of blame, and so now you got your real culprits. It's Iran. They're the only ones that target civilians. I mean, it's only Iran, but yeah, it turns out that that's not the case. Watch.
You'll notice the Secretary of Defense, what he calls the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, did not confirm what the president said, that it wasn't the U.S. He just said it's being investigated and that Iran targets civilians. That is the president on March 7th. 2 days later, when it became clear a Tomahawk cruise missile had hit the school, the president claimed that Iran had them as well, which is apparently not true.
What do you make of the fact that it was potentially based on outdated information? Is that normal?
Unfortunately, it has happened before. I was working on the
Yo, 45, what's up?
Balkans at CIA when there were parts of our team
War is peace, what's up?
that provided the information that led to the erroneous strike of the Chinese embassy in Belgrade, right? People were just devastated by that, but they were using
Our homeboy, what's up?
old maps. But back then in the 90s, we didn't have Google Earth, we didn't have AI. And so the idea here that we're hearing is that DIA, which
You hear this?
But back then in the 90s, we didn't have Google Earth, we didn't have AI. And so the idea here that we're hearing is that DIA, which would have responsibility for doing this, did not update that target list. They had old information. So you can imagine at the beginning of this war how quickly it went and how that information that we were going to do this came down very, very quickly to the operational level. And we've hit 5,000 targets, I think is the last I've heard, to update the target packages. Some of these packages like where you have the imagery and you determine this is something worth striking, these can be very old and they need to be refreshed. But this school was around.
How do you use old information? What is that all about?
For 10 years.
10 years? They used something taken 10 years ago. Do you hear how ridiculous this is?
Operational level. And we've hit 5,000 targets, I think is the last I've heard, to update the target packages. Some of these packages like where you have the imagery and you determine this is something worth striking, these can be very old and they need to be refreshed. But this school was around for 10 years. So this is a major, major mistake.
So that means that they either used imagery that is older than 10 years or they knew it was a school and did it anyway.
It should have been, I think is the last I've heard, to update the target packages. Some of these packages like where you have the imagery and you determine this is something worth striking, these can be very old and they need to be refreshed. But this school was around for 10 years. So this is a major, major mistake. It should have been caught. So this is a major, major mistake. It should have been caught. It should have been refreshed. And frankly, I hope, and I feel terrible for the people who provided that information, but we need to learn from this and make sure we're using AI and all the tools to prevent this from happening again. But I have to agree with the administration that while this is a huge, horrible tragedy, the United States military and the intelligence community does try very, very hard to prevent it. But mistakes happen and lives are lost.
Andrew.
But does Hegseth do his best? Does Trump do his best? That's the question, because someone has to take the blame. Someone must take responsibility. And that's what it's always about. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. What matters is how do you take responsibility for your mistakes? I mean, for example, if you drive a car and you accidentally park somewhere where you're not supposed to park and you make a mistake, you have to pay a fine. You have to be responsible. If you drive down the street and you drive 1-2 miles over the limit or 5 miles over the limit, well, you make a left or a right and it was an accident, whatever, you have to pay a fine, right? When you make mistakes, a lot of times you have to pay fines. You have to be responsible, right? Yeah. That's how it is when you're late on your mortgage check, on your mortgage payment, when you're late on the rent, when you're late, you have to pay a fine. They give you a little extra fee because you have to be responsible. So it's normal in I hope, I hope in your society, it's normal that people take responsibility. So the question is on who's going to take responsibility here for this? And it doesn't sound like it's going to be anybody who is supposed to. It sounds like they're going to lay it on the person who, looked at the data and was told to do something, make a decision. And, but who's responsible for this stuff? I mean, it's bad. It's bad, actually.
As you look at this, I mean, they've said that
10 years using 10-year-old data. I mean, come on, man.
It's under investigation. I mean, there are questions of how long that takes to play out. Obviously, it's one thing for them to come out and acknowledge responsibility, but CNN investigations, the New York Times, Reuters, many other outlets have done preliminary findings themselves that can show geolocated images that point to U.S. responsibility.
The evidence is overwhelming. I mean, even at this early stage in the investigation. We can only hope that the investigation will continue to a reasonable and fact-based conclusion. And that
it sounds sugar-coated. You're right, Devil. Yeah, it sounded like Devil Dog. It sounded like, basically, sugar-coated.
Will be shared transparently with the country and the world.
Yeah. Andrew McKay, Beth Sander, great to have both of you.
Yeah, it's crazy, I really don't know. But this is not the worst of it so far. This ain't the worst of it. Things are getting worse. And there's things actually coming out. But let me just see what they say about the oil again real quick. Matter of fact, hold on. Sorry about that. Let me see Trump. They say Trump is trying to blame others for this shit. Let's see what he got to say here.
Tonight, Donald Trump says that someone should be blamed if there is an Iranian attack on the homeland.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. We're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Anxieties are already high, and over the weekend, 2 men were charged with using a weapon of mass destruction and providing material support to ISIS after a pair of homemade bombs were thrown at anti-Muslim protesters outside of the New York City mayor's residence on Saturday.
And now there's actually been some real other attacks going on. Let me see here. They say that where are these attacks at? Let me see. What else? Bleed private. Right, here we go. Let's listen to her drunk ass.
We want to. This is breaking news, and we want to bring your attention to Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., giving an update.
Did y'all know Jeanine Pirro? She was found or investigated. I don't know if she pleaded out or what the findings were, but it's on tape. She had to step down, I think, from her job in the state she comes from. But she was trying to get the police. I think she was an elected official that tried to get the police to wiretap her ex-husband or her husband because she thought her husband was having an affair. Said they got it all on tape. They got the investigators trying to tell her, but I can't really do that. She was literally trying to get the police to wiretap her husband. This is the lady, and Trump promoted her. I'm telling you, everyone in Trump's circle is like a person who does things that's unethical and criminal, pretty much. But here we go. Let's see. Yeah, people say she's an alcoholic,
A criminal investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Let's watch.
What?
Of the Federal Reserve.
Okay, hold on. Wait a second. Okay, I thought she was going to comment on these attacks. There's been a few attacks in the U.S. Let me see here. I'm sorry. Let me go to. I'm gonna come back to her. Let me go back to this now. I'm sorry. That was the wrong one. Let's play.
While the Democrats recklessly keep the DHS shut down, America.
This is Fox News now. This is the other side. I call this the right side of corporate media. CNN is the left side of corporate media. This is the right side.
America is on edge over a wave of radical Islamic terrorist attacks on U.S. soil. 4 attacks since March 1st, starting in Texas, then New York, and now 2 back-to-back attacks just yesterday. In Michigan, a man with a rifle rammed his car into a synagogue with more than 100 kids inside until a heroic security guard shot and killed him. Thankfully, no children were hurt.
Notice how because she said a heroic security guard. He like, okay, that's interesting. It could have been just a security guard doing his job, but I'm not saying it's not heroic, but that's what you paid for. You know what I'm saying? But you would expect it would be heroic if just a citizen did the shit. You know what I'm saying? Someone who you didn't expect. But yeah, she's saying it's heroic. Okay.
In Michigan, a man with a rifle rammed his car into a synagogue with more than 100 kids inside until a heroic security guard shot and killed him. Thankfully, no children were hurt. And in Virginia, a convicted ISIS supporter shouted Allahu Akbar before opening fire at Old Dominion University, killing an ROTC officer at the school. Thankfully, another cadet fatally stabbed the ISIS-supporting lunatic to prevent more carnage. Both attackers have been identified as naturalized U.S. citizens, and the FBI is treating both as terror attacks. But the liberal media is blaming, you guessed it, President Trump and Doge.
It's time, of course, with so much chaos, of course, after Doge and other things.
I think the Jewish community across this country feels under attack. I am not divorcing that from the feeling that there are many other Americans that also feel under attack. The immigrant community in this country feels under attack by its own government.
You have to wonder fundamentally about the degree to which this White House, which has been caught completely flat-footed on a war of choice, really has the personnel in place and actually the interest in keeping Americans safe.
And local leaders in Norfolk have a different scapegoat. This Soros-backed DA from the Commonwealth, well, he is blaming guns instead of the terrorist who wielded them.
This is a national sickness. We live in a country where people care more about guns than they care about 6-year-old children. They care more about guns than they care about.
But that is true. You know, that's true. I mean, they took away children. You know, this SNAP stuff. You know how many children that affected? When the right wing, when MAGA said, yo, you don't get you shouldn't have your food stamps, or, this is the kind of stuff that it really targets children. Children are the most vulnerable of people that fall around the poverty line. They're the most vulnerable. And we don't think about children. We think about our gun rights. We don't think about children's rights in the United States of America. If you're poor, you don't have the right to health care if you're a poor child in the United States of America. That's not how it works. And guns are way cheaper than health care. Anybody can get a gun. Anybody can't get health care.
Until there is the political will to break the spell of the cult of gun absolutism, you will see more incidents like this. So if you're looking for somebody to blame, don't look at anybody up here.
Well, they blame the gun every time. Highly predictable. Not often do they blame Doge. I mean, Jesse, you interviewed the Doge.
I mean, look, Fox News doesn't even care that Elon Musk, Doge, committed crimes. They don't even care that they stole people's personal information in the government. And look at this. Here's the Doge people right now. I'm glad she brought up Doge because this is just totally, utterly ridiculous, man. Let's see here. She want to talk about Doge. Let's go. Here we go. Let's hear something about Doge.
Might have lost important income to support their lives.
No. I think it was more important to reduce the federal deficit from $2 trillion to close to zero.
Did you reduce the federal deficit?
No, we didn't.
This is a history of the HIV/AIDS prison movement and its legacies in the United States. My book project narrates how activists fought the convergence of HIV/AIDS and incarceration from inside and outside prisons across the Reagan through Clinton years.
These are the Doge people.
That this organizing
These are the Doge people Elon Musk sent in, right, to get your personal information under the guise of DEI. So they blamed millions of Americans, actual American citizens, they blame them for being corrupt and sent in people that got access to personal information and took the information, stole it. They did all of that under guise of stopping corruption of American citizens, but actually it turned out to be them committing crimes themselves. And this is one of the people that Fox News, right? Fox News, this lady doesn't give a goddamn about at all. So let's hear about Doge.
Legacies in the prison abolition movement of the 1990s to today. This is one of the grants that you or Mr. Fox identified as craziest at NEH, is that right?
That's right.
Why did you identify this as one of the craziest grants?
Because it references feminist and queer insights into prison abolition and LGBTQ studies.
Any other reasons?
No.
Examining military service from...
Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again. Watch this.
You don't regret that people might have lost important income to support their lives?
No. I think it was more important to reduce the federal deficit from $2 trillion to close to zero.
Did you reduce the federal deficit?
No, we didn't.
This is a history of the HIV/AIDS prison movement and its legacies in the United States. My book project narrates how activists fought the convergence of HIV/AIDS and incarceration from inside and outside prisons across the Reagan through Clinton years, and argues that this organizing holds legacies in the prison abolition movement of the 1990s to today. This is one of the grants that you or Mr. Fox identified as craziest at NEH, is that right?
That's right.
Why did you identify this as one of the craziest grants?
Because it references feminist and queer insights into prison abolition and LGBTQ studies.
Any other reasons?
No.
Examining military service from the margins, the complicated service discussion series will bring together veterans and community members to examine the experiences of service members who identify themselves as female, Black, Native American, LGBTQ, or an immigrant, the dynamics, reasoning, and strength behind serving a country that does not always serve you in return. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
You and Mr. Fox identified this as one of the craziest grants at NEH?
Yes, it appears so.
Why did you do that?
Because it explicitly says LGBTQ.
Do you have any history in, like, let's say, scholarly peer review?
No.
Okay. So, but this judgment call was made by you and your personal judgment combined with Justin's personal judgment to cancel grants based on DEI?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's inappropriate in any way that someone in their 20s with no experience with grants or federal government was making personal judgment calls about what grants to cancel?
Objection. No, I don't think it's inappropriate.
Okay. Why not?
Objection. I think
you hear his attorney say objection. You know, that's like, we caught you red-handed, and she's like, objection. He already answered the first question, so now they're allowed to go down this line, you know. But let's hear it some more. Let's continue to hear it. Oops. Here we go.
You don't regret that people might have lost
time serving a series will bring together veterans and community members to examine the experiences of service members who identify themselves as female, Black, Native American, LGBTQ, or an immigrant, the dynamics, reasoning, and strength behind serving a country that does not always serve you in return. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
You and Mr. Fox identified this as one of the craziest grants at NEH?
Yes, it appears so.
Why did you do that?
Because it explicitly says LGBTQ.
Do you have any history in, like, let's say, scholarly peer review?
No.
Okay. So, but this judgment call was made by you and your personal judgment combined with Justin's personal judgment to cancel grants based on DEI?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's inappropriate in any way that someone in their 20s with no experience with grants where federal government was making personal judgment calls about what grants to cancel?
Objection. No, I don't think it's inappropriate.
Right, here we go.
Why not?
Objection.
Objection.
I think a person can have enough judgment from reading books and being well informed outside of traditional experience to make judgment calls about obvious things like a grant that literally lists DEI in its description to know whether it violates an executive order.
You know what? Look at this.
You don't regret
that. You hear this? You hear this?
It appears so.
Why did you do that?
Yo, check this out. This is crazy. You hear this? So, are any of the tenements of DEI, are they traditional in the U.S.? Are they traditional? You see what I mean? And that's what's interesting. They removed all of this by saying it's not traditional, right? That it goes against, this is why they removed it. You see what I mean? And now his explanation for doing things the way he wants to, from going outside of peer review or going outside of scholarly works, traditional scholarly works, foundational scholarly works, he's okay to do that. So in all actuality, he's not a conservative. You see what I mean? He's not a conservative. He's a liberal, actually. Listen to this. This is crazy, man. This is crazy, but it's him admitting to it. This is his own logic. This is
because it explicitly.
This is Doge's own logic.
It says LGBTQ.
Do you have any history in, let's say, scholarly peer review?
No.
Okay. So, but this judgment call was made by you and your personal judgment combined with Justin's personal judgment to cancel grants based on DEI?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's inappropriate in any way that someone in their 20s with no experience with grants where federal government was making personal judgment calls about what grants to cancel?
Objection. No, I don't think it's inappropriate.
Okay.
Why?
Why not?
Objection. I think a person can have enough judgment from reading books and being well informed outside of traditional experience to make judgment calls about obvious things like a grant that literally lists DEI in its description to know whether it violates an executive order.
I'm sorry. I'm saying books because you said books. What books would you have read that would have informed your opinion on what grants to cancel based on DEI or not?
There were no books.
Aha.
People might have lost important income to support their lives.
Objection. No.
Right. So, that's one of those dojis, right? Dojis. Now, here's some more. Let's see here. Let's go. Here we go. Is it playing? Oh, here we go. Sorry about that.
Position being asked about his role in flagging grants for DEI for termination. Here are the highlights. First, a large chunk of the deposition was refusing to define DEI.
Do you have an understanding as you sit here today of what DEI means?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your understanding of what it means?
Well, it is exactly what was written in the EO. Okay.
Then admitting to using ChatGPT to scan government contracts for terms like black and homosexual, but not white or Caucasian.
There's gay, LGBTQ+, and we can see that it says black, indigenous, people of color on this list, right?
Yes.
It doesn't.
Right. So, so what's up to you, Trump, you black people that supported Trump? They're out there looking. This is Doge inside of your private records, out there looking to fuck you over in Social Security. Fuck you over. Like, seriously, straight up. They are admitting to targeting you. So I'm curious, African American, black American supporters of Trump, are you okay with this? They literally admitted it to targeting you specifically. So just listen again.
But not white or Caucasian.
There's gay, LGBTQ+, and we can see that it says black, indigenous, people of color on this list, right?
Yes.
It doesn't say white or Caucasian on this list, does it?
It very well could have.
And while he refused multiple times to define DEI, his explanations over these hours of videos and over specific grants do give us some sort of insight.
Do you agree with ChatGPT's assessment here that a documentary is DEI if it explores historical events that significantly impacted Black civil rights?
Yes. It's not for the benefit. It is not for the benefit of humankind. It is focused on a specific group or a specific race, here being Black.
So after watching hours and hours and hours...
Let me hear that one more time.
Do you agree with ChatGPT's assessment here that a documentary is DEI if it explores historical events that significantly impacted Black civil rights?
Yes. It's not for the benefit. It is not for the benefit of humankind. It is focused on a specific group of...
You hear that? So, you hear that, right? So, in other words, y'all, you cannot make any type, just understand this. If you make any documentaries focused on any specific group, you could be targeted. That's in his mind, that's not for the benefit of humankind. That's insane. That is insane, because at the exact same time that they're making this argument, this is ridiculous. They're literally targeting you to expel you, targeting your voting rights. They tried to get away the 14th Amendment, get rid of the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, the 14th fucking Amendment is the amendment that allowed even people in the early 19th century to come. In the 1940s, after World War II, this could fuck up all your family. These dudes don't want you making no movies about this shit. They don't want you making any documentaries about any of you. None of you. This shit is crazy, man. 45. We'll clip this one. Hold on. What'd you say? Please segment this. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. I appreciate that, 45. But this is their own thoughts. This is their own damn thoughts. I mean, in any case, yo, anybody want to hop up? Here's the link. You got to have Discord on your phone or on your computer or something, and then you'll be able to hop up. But listen, and that's the direct link. So when you get in there in the room, send me a message so I see it, so I get a little a message here. Let me check it. Did somebody write me already? Okay, so yeah, just send me a message, and then I will let you in on the live. Now, back to this broad, because she's the one who brought this shit up. You know, they're the ones who's bringing this up, saying that we're talking about the Doge and we're blaming all this on Doge. Man, at this point, I don't even give a fuck. Just get Trump out of there. Everyone associated with Trump, yeah, we blaming you. And why? At this point, it doesn't even matter why. Okay? Because why doesn't really matter. You don't give a shit when we're right about anything. You know, they said Trump was going to take your health care. That's what happened. And these people out here are crying and bitching about their health care being taken when they're pretending like no one told them. No, everyone fucking told you. Everyone told you. Why would you elect a motherfucker that's Jeffrey Epstein's best friend? But you did it anyway. Everyone fucking told you. Everyone told you, stop thinking about Hillary eating a goddamn baby on Epstein Island. That's disinformation. Did you listen? No. You didn't listen. Instead, you wanted the best friend of Jeffrey Epstein to be the president, and now he won't give you the goddamn Epstein files. I mean, the people that supported Trump have been wrong the entire time. And this is their state media right here. I mean, you got the CNN who's kind of being passé about the truth. And then you got Fox News that's not being passé about lying. They're just throwing lies down your throat every second of the day. I mean, listen to this shit.
Doge boys, they're clearly
Doge boys.
predictable. Not often do they blame Doge. I mean, Jesse, you interviewed the Doge boys. They're clearly responsible for all this.
Right. No, this happens every time, Kayleigh. There's a tragedy, and then they blame guns, Republicans, climate change, or racism. And it's usually to distract from the fact pattern. And the fact pattern here is that it's loose immigration policy, soft judges, and
listen,
the fact that we shut
they
down.
blame. So he says we blame racism, right? We blame racism. That's what he said. Listen, I didn't see any black person black American in Trump's cabinet that said invading Greenland is a great idea. That has nothing to do with any black people. Selling out the Western world has everything to do with the right wing of the United States of America, and that traditionally has very, very few black people in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up. So let's keep it real. Jesse, the same person that said this, is the same person that's okay with Trump invading Greenland. Let's just keep that in mind, just for everyone outside of the U.S. to understand. Let's listen to him again.
Tragedy, and then they blame guns, Republicans, climate change, or racism.
So climate change is not real. Gun problem is not real, right? Racism is not real, right? And invading Greenland is not real either. They should just give it to us. Greenland, huh? Yeah. Why don't they just give us Greenland? I mean, this is, you see, you got to have the whole bag. You can't break it apart. This is what they represent. So now you see the right wing of the U.S., they're not just against, blacks, natives in the U.S., women's rights. They're not just against women's rights. They want to own your body, by the way. They're not just against, illegal immigrants, even though, that term is debatable because they're going after immigrants that have legal stay. I mean, they're going after everybody now. They're not again. Do you know they have a specific place for Americans now? And I mean, they can detain you. They just grabbed a woman right up the street. Do you think they're asking people for IDs anymore? No, they're not. But all of this is packaged into the same package of let's attack NATO nations. Let's take Greenland. Let's disrespect NATO. Let's talk down to Europeans. All that is packaged into one program, and it's called Fox News, and it's called MAGA. And here they are.
Boys, they're clearly responsible for all this.
Right. No.
Come on, Jesse.
Incidents like this. So if you're looking for somebody to blame, don't look at anybody up here.
Well, they blame the gun every time, highly predictable. Not often do they blame Doge. I mean, Jesse, you interviewed the Doge boys. They're clearly responsible for all this.
Right. No, this happens every time, Kaylee. There's a tragedy, and then they blame guns, Republicans, climate change, or racism. And it's usually to distract from the fact pattern. And the fact pattern here is that it's loose immigration policy, soft judges, and the fact that we shut down the Department of Homeland Security. Could you imagine if Biden was at war with Iran and there was a domestic attack and the Republicans had shut down Homeland Security? They would be screaming that the Republicans had blood on their hands. But no. Now, radical Muslims have been attacking Jews for a long time.
White supremacists in America hate Jews. Just keep that in mind. Those are the same people that watch Fox News. Yes, KKK hated Jews, just like the Nazis. That's part of the bag also. Okay, that's part of the right-wing extremist bag. And Jesse is trying to pretend like he's I don't know what kind of fine line he's kind of draw. They're trying to reimagine the right wing of America to be loving of Jews all of a sudden. Interesting.
I'm going to go with centuries and Christians. This didn't start because of Trump. Okay, this happened for a very long time. Obama, I mean, we had Muslims attacking people willy-nilly for those 8 years. Fort Hood, Chattanooga, Boston bombing. No one blamed Barack Obama for inspiring the terrorism. You blamed him for dropping the ball or intel failures. But you didn't say Barack caused it.
I think I did, but we'll move on.
You're probably right. But it's not.
Actually, they did. And that's the thing about it. They did actually literally blame Hillary, Barack. They literally blamed them. And they blame Biden, too. So, I don't know what they're talking about.
Because Barack was fighting the war on terror, that's like his fault, and he should just bow down to terrorism. Every president fights terrorism. There's always a little blowback, and that's just the way it is. Now, why are we bringing in people from Sierra Leone?
Yeah, and those military, 15 military, U.S. military dying in 2 weeks. That's just the way it is, according to Fox News. Just the way it is. According to Trump, Hegseth, just the way it is.
No offense, but I mean, this country's a mess. I mean, genital mutilation?
Genital mutilation. Again, you see where they're going with this? Genital mutilation. He's not talking about Americans born with 6 fingers. Let's see. Do we want to talk about that today? How many Americans are born with 6 fingers, and what do they do in a hospital when you're born with 6 fingers? Let's find out. Let's go over and see what the deal is on this, because I'm really curious myself to know. Let's see here. How many Americans are born with 6 fingers? This is crazy. Fingers, and what do they do about it when you're born? Okay, this is just an example. He's talking about genital mutilation. Okay.
Back, and that's just the way it is. Now, why are we bringing in people from Sierra Leone? No offense. Because Barack was fighting the war on terror, that's like his fault, and he should just like bow down to terrorism. Every president fights terrorism. There's always a little blowback, and that's just the way it is. Now,
Just the way it is.
why are we bringing in people from Sierra Leone? No offense, but I mean, this country's a mess. I mean, genital mutilation.
He just goes from Sierra Leone to genital mutilation.
But I mean, this country's a mess. I mean, genital mutilation.
Okay, genital mutilation. Kids, people. Let's look at this one. He really wants to talk about that. Like that's a fucking topic, right? Genital mutilation. Okay, what about people born with an extra finger? Should that be a crime? Right? Shouldn't we make them have their extra finger? Shouldn't we make Americans born with an extra finger keep that extra finger their whole fucking life? I mean, what's up with this finger mutilation? We don't want to have that happening, do we, in the United States of America? Look at this. Being born with an extra finger, a condition called polydactyly, I think that's what it's called, is more common than many people realize. It is a thing, and if you didn't know it, you're just dumb. Okay? God damn, stop being dumb. Learn something. Stop being an ignorant fucking human being, no matter where you are from. Okay? There's no excuse for it. Here, it's more common than most people realize, than many people realize. It's actually the most common hand difference seen in newborns. Da. So what are we going to do? Should we outlaw it? Should we outlaw? Yeah, read a fucking book. Should we Karina, you know what I'm saying? Should we outlaw this? How dare they cut off these kids' fingers? It's plenty of people out there. I bet you Jesse was born with 6 fucking fingers. I bet you he was. He doesn't even know it. And this is karma for you, because a lot of people shit like that happens to. They don't even know their own goddamn life. They become so damn ignorant. They start off advocating against someone else's fucking right. Now, not knowing that they also had some mutilation issues. You know what I'm saying? According to Jesse. Let's listen to this shit. Look. Jesse's a dumb motherfucker, man. I swear. Listen to this. Just listen while you read this.
And that's just the way it is. Now, why are we bringing in people from Sierra Leone?
Sierra Leone, Africa, African killer bees. And now what are we going to talk about?
No offense, but I mean, this country's a mess. I mean, genital mutilation?
Yeah, genital mutilation. Now, here we go. How many Americans are born with 6 fingers? In the United States, approximately 1 in every 500 to 1,000 babies is born with polydactyly. God damn, that's a lot of fucking babies being born with 6 fingers. Yo, did your wife or husband have 6 fingers? That's the only thing you got to start asking questions about now. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy. This is really what you got to. Did Jesse's mama have 6 fingers? Did Jesse have 6 fingers? You know what I'm saying? Did his wife have 6 fingers? Did he make a baby with a woman that was born with 6 fingers? Inquiring minds want to fucking know. You know what I'm saying? This shit is crazy. I mean, this is who's leading the U.S. They don't even know that this happens. You know what I'm saying? Look, so Look, frequency varies significantly based on race. Even look, African Americans. This is the most common in the black community, affecting roughly 1 in 143 newborns. Yes, it usually appears as an extra pinky finger. Okay? Caucasians, it happens less. It occurs in about 1 in 1,300 births. In Caucasian and Asians, it's more likely to appear as an extra thumb. Damn, you're a thumbie. You're a thumbie, man. I'm going to start asking them how many thumbs you were born with. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is some crazy shit right here. But it's true. Genetics. If a parent has a condition, there's a 50% chance the child will inherit it, as it is often autosomal dominant trait. Damn. What do they do about it at birth? When a baby is born with 6 fingers, the doctors first perform a physical exam and usually an x-ray to see if the finger's extra digit has a bone. Right? There's no excuse, though. Don't go around saying, yeah, but mine didn't have a bone, so therefore I'm still against genital mutilation. Joints or tendons. What happens next? How to develop a finger? Small nubbins. Were you born with a small nubbin? Did your mama tell you? Did your mama tell you, Jesse? What did Jesse Waters? Were you born with an extra thumb? Do you even know, boy? All right, let's see here. Extra finger is just a small piece of soft tissue. I don't want to hear any fucking excuses. All right, it's a finger. It's an extra one. And Jesse doesn't want you getting it cut off. He's saying it should be illegal. Why are you doing that? Okay, now let me see here. How many Americans are born, right, with both sex parts or parts from males and females, or double sex parts? I mean, let's just get down to it. Since they're against genital mutilation, let's have a real conversation. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy, man. Oh my God, but see, if you don't do this, MAGA people would have you out here talking just like Jesse. What would they have Jesse talking about if you don't do this? If you don't bother to even care?
Blowback, and that's just the way it is. Now, why are we bringing in people from Sierra Leone? No offense, but I mean, this country's a mess. I mean, genital mutilation?
Yeah, genital mutilation. It's because of people like Jesse that we have to discuss this shit. Being born with physical traits that don't fit the typical definitions of male or female is referred to medically as being intersex or having different sex development, DSD. This is more common than people often realize, Jesse. Yes, you bitch, I'm talking to you. Okay? People are, though the numbers depend heavily on how you define it. Is this another one of those ideological goddamn definition? How I define it, how I identify. Okay. Now, how many Americans are intersex? There are 2 ways researchers generally look at these numbers. Okay. And what happens if you were born that way and somebody cut something off and no one told you? Is that genital mutilation, Jesse? Jesse could be born with 2 sex parts, and we're going to find out. And, you know, isn't that something would you want your parents to tell you about that? Or what would they do in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s? What would they do? Would they tell you? Or would they just say, don't ask, don't tell? Okay. There are 2 ways researchers generally look at these numbers. The broad definition is 50 people. 1 in 50 fucking people? 1? Approximately 1.7 of the population, about 5.6 million Americans, is born with some intersex traits. That's a lot of motherfucking people, Jesse. Yes. Were you one of them? This includes internal things that you can't see, motherfucker. Did you know that, Jesse? Like different chromosome patterns instead of XX or XY or hormonal variations. This frequency is roughly the same as the number of people born with red hair. How many gingers are there out there? Jesse? Yeah. Okay. The narrow definition, 1 in 2,000 people, approximately 0.05 of babies are born with ambiguous genitalia. That means stuff they can't figure out if it's male or female. Ambiguous, I guess. Yeah, Jesse. Do you want to call it genital mutilation? Are you against sex correction operations, Jesse? Are they even being honest about it when they talk about it, the right wing? Jesse, I mean, what do people think? Obviously, this is where we at with the U.S. right now, man. We have morons, controlling every fucking thing. And nobody else can get a word in because people like Jesse, this is what they got to say on Fox News. Millions, 5, 10 million, billion people.
And that's just the way it is. Now, why are we bringing in people from Sierra Leone? No offense, but I mean, this country's a mess. I mean, genital mutilation.
Yeah. So I guess he doesn't understand what's going on, and Jesse doesn't want to be honest to American citizens when he's talking about it. Narrow definition, approximately 0.05 of the babies born with ambiguous genitalia, which a doctor cannot immediately tell if the baby is a male or female by looking at them. Okay. Okay. What do they do at birth? Okay. The past doctors often perform corrective surgery immediately to make the baby look more like one specific sex. Yeah. Today, the approach is much more cautious and involves a team of specialists, geneticists, endocrinologists, and urologists. Okay, so if you ever heard any of one of these, and if your mama ever says, yeah, well, we had a geneticist and an endocrinologist and a urologist, you might be like, what she mean by that? With me? What they got to do with me, mama? You might want to ask her, Jesse Waters, okay? You know what I'm saying? Were you born with ambiguous genitalia, Jesse? Who knows? Because maybe no one told you. In the year you were born, it wasn't a popular topic. Did you know that? No one, they had the don't ask, don't tell thing going on. Immediate medical testing. First priority is health, not appearance. Some conditions like congenital adrenal hyperplasia, CHH, can cause life-threatening salt imbalances. Doctors will perform blood tests to check hormone levels and chromosomes, ultrasounds to see if there are internal organs like uterus or testes. That's key elements in men or women, right? Uterus is usually female, testes is usually male, right? Ugh. I don't even like saying these words, man. Okay, choosing a gender of rearing. Choosing a gender. Parents and doctors usually decide whether to raise the child as a boy or girl, right? This is based on which organs are present and how the body is likely to respond to hormones during the puberty. Yeah. The surgery debate is the most significant change in recent years. Medically necessary surgery. If a baby cannot urinate properly or has a high risk of cancer in their reproductive organs, surgery is performed early. Cosmetic surgery. Many doctors and advocacy groups now recommend waiting on surgeries that are just for appearance. The goal is to let the child grow up and decide for themselves if they want surgery, as early operations can sometimes lead to a loss of sensation or gender identity that doesn't match the surgery they received. Okay, so let me see. How many Americans are born this way a year? I think they said how many? Let me see. It's millions though. I'm pretty sure. 3.6 million babies born in the United States. So these are people, you got to understand, when you get into this thing that Jesse Jackass is talking about here.
Back, and that's just the way it is. Now, why are we bringing in people from Sierra Leone? No offense, but I mean, this country's a mess. I mean, genital mutilation, mass rape.
He didn't even say anything bad about people from Sierra Leone. He was just like, why are we doing it? Why are they coming here? You know, just like being from Sierra Leone itself is the bad part. You know what I'm saying? But in any case, yeah, he's talking about genital mutilation. So you see, but he's not talking about 3.6 million people that have that may, you know, that have any one of these irregularities or abnorms. I don't want to look down on it, but what I mean is that don't have that have sexually ambiguous sex parts, right? Essentially, right? He's not talking about these people, and these people, a lot of these people end up getting what? Surgery, and he's calling it genital mutilation. That's what he's doing. Now, let me ask one more thing. What ethnicities have this at and at what rate? Just to be clear, right? Just the people to be clear. Let me see. Both conditions, extra digits, intersex traits. Okay, so polyactily, right? Extra fingers, toes. The rate, okay, that is, let me see. Can I open this up and make this bigger? You see this. This is the last thing says births, just so you understand, right? So ethnicity, African Americans, we talking about extra fingers, 1 in every 43 births, right? Native Americans, 1 in every 416 births. Caucasians, 1 in every 1,339 births. I mean, my kids were born, I saw all their fingers and their sex parts and everything. Okay, I've been present at all my kids' births, so I know that they weren't born with an extra finger or different, you know, something that's listed here, right? Sex parts being, you know, ambiguous or any of that stuff. So, you know, thank God for that, and thank you for Denmark for allowing me to be there when my children were born, for me to see them with my own eyes, and allowing me to be privileged enough as a person to be able to take off from work and have a life and have a hospital to see my child born in. You see what I mean? So thank you. But Caucasians, we're obviously talking about Americans here, because this is a American term really used today, right? So but in any case, I don't know if this is a medical term. I doubt it. But in any case, 1 in 1,300 births in the United States for quote unquote Caucasians, 1 in 1,000 for Asians, right? So African American ancestry rate roughly 10 times higher than other groups. It is often an isolated trait, meaning the child is perfectly healthy. Otherwise, the extra finger is just a genetic family trait. You see? Caucasian, Asian ancestry. While rarer, the extra digits is more likely to be a thumb. Okay? This is more frequent, associated with other underlying genetic syndromes compared to the pinky side. So again, should we have reparative surgery? Should we have, he's calling it, but Jesse and Right Wing, they call it gender mutilation. You know, they don't call it corrective. Okay? So, so intersex, right? Let's see what the numbers look like there. Intersex, that means, you know, sexually ambiguous, right? Not being able to, or having both parts. You see what I mean? Parts from male and females, what would be considered male and female, right? Let me see. Can I move this over a little more? Right. So let's go down this one. Classic, CHH, right? You pick Eskimos, right? Damn, let me open this number up. Is that can I get more information on this? Yeah, I can. Okay, so let me pull this up. Let me change this so you guys can see it. Actually, you can't see everything right now. So let me make this smaller so you can see the digits. Here we go. All right. So here we go. Now it says here, because intersex and broad umbrella is rates vary to the specific conditions, some found almost exclusively in certain ethnic groups due to the founder effects, where are specific genetic traits, it becomes common in an isolated population. So we went over that with African Americans in the fingers, right? It's usually isolated, no other connection to any other difference in the human body, right? And it happens in a certain amount of numbers per and there's a comparison there. It could be more depending on what group you are. You see this? Being born with an extra finger, and what finger? You see Native Americans' thumb, Caucasians' thumb, Asians' thumb. African American is pinky normally. That's interesting, right? But it's 1 in 43 births. So African Americans, Caucasians is 1 in every 1300s, if documented correctly. Asians 1 in 1,000. Native Americans 1 in 416. But when we get down to the intersex thing, right, sex development, the numbers look different. So Western Asian Alaskan, 1 in every 82. I'm sorry. For non-classic, let's see, Ashkenazi Jews, 1 in 27. That's pretty high. That's milder. Salt waste, god damn, 1 in 27. Am I reading this right? Okay, beta. Okay, Moroccan Jews, 1 in 5,000. Okay, lipoid CHA, Japanese and Korean, higher than global average. That's interesting. 5 alpha reductase deficiency, Dominican Republic, clusters specific. Okay, yeah, that's cluster specific. Okay. Now, let me see here. Congenial adrenal hyperplasia, CHH. This is one of the most common causes of ambiguous genitalia at birth, while the global average is about 1 in 15,000. It is exceptionally high in Alaska. You pick people of Alaska. Okay. 5 alpha reductase deficiency. I mean, people can speak about this all you want, but there's probably a lot of theories about why this is happening. I mean, but yeah, I'll leave that up to the experts. But 5 alpha reductase deficiency. This is a famous case in the Dominican Republic where children appear female at birth but develop male anatomy and male identity during puberty due to a specific enzyme deficiency common to the genetical line. Now, let's see here. Typical year in the U.S. Approximately 5,000 black infants will be born with the extra pinky. Approximately 1,800 babies of all races will be born with visibly ambiguous parts. Okay, so here the numbers equal out, right? Roughly 6,000 babies will be born with some form of internal or chromosomal intersex variation that may not be noticed for years. So that's 6,000. That's a lot. Okay. Yeah. So this is just to make sure, we see how some of this media is just either, like I say, left media doesn't educate enough, and right-wing media basically just spreads fucking lies, by people like this dude right here. Because what does he call the issue?
Every president fights terrorism. There's always, no offense, but I mean, this country's a mess. I mean, genital mutilation.
Right. So he goes around flaunting that shit around, and look, keep in mind, look, this is what the topic is about right here. Peep this. This is what he's literally supposed to be talking about. He's supposed to be talking about radical Islam terror attacks rocks the U.S. You see what I mean? And instead, he's talking about genital mutilation, which he doesn't know anything about. He doesn't know anything about the human body of Americans. Zero. He is literally not educating anybody about a real topic. You see what I mean? He could use the opportunity to truly educate people, but that's not what he's choosing to do. He's choosing to scapegoat people, vilify people, fuck with people. So let's go on now. Let's see what else we got here. 2 seconds. Is it on? Here we go. Boom. This is some more.
While the Democrats recklessly keep the DHS shut down, America is on edge over a wave of radical Islamic terrorist attacks on U.S. soil. 4 attacks since March 1st, starting in Texas.
Oops. Sorry about that. Here we go. More Fox News.
Well, we have seen some violent attacks, and they are raising terror concerns here at home as conflict with Iran rages in the Middle East. And authorities say an armed, naturalized U.S. citizen from Lebanon attacked a Michigan synagogue yesterday. And this is what really was glaring about it, because when you looked at the live screen yesterday as this was happening, you couldn't tell.
So they're talking about Islamists attacking Jews. Okay, so look, just to make it very clear, let's talk about the history of racism in America. Okay, let's see here. Historically, did white nationalists, I mean, everyone knows this, you just got to be honest, nationalists hate Jews as well? Let's see here. Let's just, and maybe they will give us it's called anti-Semitism for a reason. I mean, come on, Hitler started this bullshit. Okay, so but if we want to know about the United States of America, yes, it is not only. This is so funny. It is not only Muslims. Okay, radicalized Muslims. You don't even have to be radicalized just as be anti-Semitic. I mean, historically, definitive yes. Okay, it's a definitive yes. Anti-Semitism has been a central foundational pillar of white nationalist ideology for over a century in the United States of America. While different hate groups sometimes shift their primary focus depending on the political climate, the Jewish question, as they historically termed it, is usually the core around which other prejudices revolve. This is like a center one. Why anti-Semitism is central to white nationalism. To understand why white nationalists hate Jews, you have to look at how they view the world. Their ideology isn't just about disliking others. It's specific conspiracy theories. The puppet master narrative. The white nationalists often view the minority groups, such as black or Hispanic populations, as an inferior threat, but they view Jewish people as a diabolical threat. They frequently claim that Jewish people are the secret architects behind social movements they dislike, such as civil rights movements, feminism, multiculturalism, open border policies. In their view, these movements are Jewish plots designed to weaken the white race. Okay? So, the Great Replacement Theory. In modern white nationalist circles, the Great Replacement Theory suggests that elites and common dog whistles for Jews are intentionally replaced by white populations with non-white immigrants. Keep in mind, Jesse Waters doesn't want you to have health care. No, he doesn't want you to have a living wage, not poor white people, not middle-class white people. Doesn't want you to have all the same access to education as Europeans have. He doesn't want that for you. No. So, but they use this stuff, these tropes, to get people to not think about it. So we know it's center. Now let's listen to Fox talk about Muslims now in America, attacking Jews.
What was on fire? What had happened? That man drove his truck into the building, hit one security guard before that security guard shot and killed him. So thankful for that. But then the vehicle caught fire. But like a miracle, none of the staff or the 105 young children at the synagogue's child care center was hurt. The FBI describes the attack as a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community. Here is Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Whether anti-Semitism is coming from the left or the right, whether it's coming from some group that you like or don't like, you have a responsibility to call it out. Because when you don't, it gives permission for people to climb that escalation, that ladder of escalation that goes from saying hateful things online to saying them in person to graffiti to ultimately violence.
It's something that Republicans have been saying with all the open border years under President Biden. They have.
You see that? So this is an open borders thing. So white nationalists aren't a danger to Jews in the United States of America. This is, again, you know what I mean? It's just like making things just actually these two groups, if you really want to listen to the rhetoric that they spreading the same damn rhetoric. the white nationalists and the extremist Muslims. They share the same rhetoric about Jews. There's nothing different about it. They rule the world. That's what they're saying, right? So now let's continue.
Said it, and now it looks like Democrats, unfortunately, are starting to say that message under pressure. Wow. In Virginia yesterday, the campus of Old Dominion University was also the site of violence. That happened during this hour of the Faulkner Focus. A convicted ISIS supporter shot 3 people, killing 1. He was subdued by several ROTC cadets in training, and boy, they know how to fight. One of them stabbed and killed the gunman. The two attacks in one day highlight the need to fully fund the Department of Homeland Security, nearly 1 month after Democrats began blocking that money. So you heard me bring up.
So in other words, Muslims can't attack Jews. White nationalists in America, you can. There won't be any hunt down for you, You won't be looking to find out how many more there are. They won't be doing any of that. The bottom line is that white nationalists in the United States have a green light to attack all the Jews they want and always have had that. But since they want to weaponize it against Muslims, like I told you before, it's the same thing. It's white nationalist Christian extremism in the United States of America. And look, I said this before. The biggest problem they have with Trump is not the allegation that he raped little girls or Jeffrey Epstein. That's not actually their problem. They don't really care about that. What they care more about in the Epstein files is people finding out that Trump may have done it to little boys and may have liked little boys doing it to him. That's where the problem is, because that's the issue. It's gayness, homosexuality, even though being raped is not the same as being gay, right? That's where the shame comes in. You see, that's where the shame comes in for the Christian nationalists. It's not about pedophilia or rape being bad, as long as it's towards little girls. The shame for them comes in when it's about little boys, you see, and that actually exists a lot more than what people think regarding these people. They don't want to have any topic. That's what legacy media is basically keeping out of it. When was the last time they know that there were men? They know there were men. They know whether they were males. They definitely know there were male victims. Have you heard any legacy media talk about any of the male victims? Have you heard them mention one? Why do you think that is? Yeah, exactly, 45. I'm serious, man. Listen, and I can't make this up. I can't make it up. I'm just noticing patterns. You see what I mean? I'm a thinking person. I notice patterns. In America, just like I know white supremacists never like Jews, I also know that they're also they also are okay with going after little girls. A lot of them been fine with that. That's just a part of how it is. They want to impregnate the little girls as virgins. That's what they talk about. They sick in the head. They talk about this purity, MAGA Mike Johnson and all of these people. That's what they're talking about. You see what I mean? But it's fake. But at the same time, they also have other data points. The other data points is that, they're really ashamed of the, male on male thing. They don't like to talk about that. They prefer to be undercover pedophiles when it comes to boys. That's the ultimate thing, because that will shatter the idea that they're big macho men. You see what I mean? That would totally shatter it in their view, in their eyes. Plus being Christianized, of course, that's worse. A man in the Bible being with a young girl, a minor, today, on today's terms, right? Or even more, that's not looked down on. What's looked down on is two males. That'll get you death in the Bible. That'll get you death in these religious books. And that's what Islam and Christianity have in common. You see what I mean? That's one of the things, especially when you're dealing with the extremist. You see what I mean? They just turn away. There's pedo shit going on in the Eastern world too. Rarely gets talked about. Facts. that doesn't really get talked about. That's the most shameful thing. They don't even talk about it. But it's like that with the white supremacists in the U.S. That's the part they don't talk about at all. If you see a movie, there's a movie, right? Let me see. I'm going to pull it up here, and I want people to check this movie out, right? Let me see here. You know, because this is real talk here, and people should know this. If you want to know what's going on, right? Let me see here. Yes, history. Is it this? Oh, right. Here we go. There's a movie here, right? It's called American. Can I pull this up? Is it right here or is it right here? I'll tell you what. I will do it like this. It is called American History X, right? It's called American History X. And it has Edward Norton in it, right? Edward Furlong, Ethan, what is this? Ethan what's his last name? Sorry, Suplee, right? Now, and it's about a man a white supremacist who went to jail in the United States of America. That's what this is about. And he went to jail. He was a young guy. He went to jail for killing a black man because he hated black people. Black man came out to his community. He had an issue about why you black people are always coming here. You're fucking up America. You're making up the crime. And he killed him. Then he went to jail. And in jail, the white boys raped him. And then he realized there's no real unity. It's inside of the jail system either among the white supremacists. They're just all taking advantage of each other, and they will even rape you. You see what I mean? That's what this story is about. You see what I'm saying? You see? So he came out being an advocate against racism and being an advocate against white nationalism when he came out of jail, because his experience in jail showed him that, no, man, this is just the most craziest thing on earth. But this is what people like Jesse Waters and them, this is the kind of shit that they promote. Fakeness. They go around talking about Muslims, and I'm not saying this isn't bad. Muslims shouldn't be anti-Semitic either. It's stupid. Okay, it doesn't solve problems. Hate doesn't stop hate. You see what I mean? So, you know, but they try to give a false image of what's going on. They don't ever want to talk about this shit is just as American. I mean, going after Jews is just as American as white nationalism is, because that's exactly what white nationalists were doing and have been doing for centuries in the United States of America. You see what I mean? For at least a century. That is killing Jews, harassing, terrorizing Jews. And now they're trying to pretend like they're not the channel of anti-Semitism when Fox News is. A lot of their support base that watch them are just as anti-Semitic as any Muslim that you could point the finger at.
Yep. Politics there.
I'm not saying all of anybody is, but the white supremacists, yeah, they are definitely anti-Jew. They're anti-Semitic, but all Muslims aren't. But the extremists tend to be, you know.
Why I bring it up.
Then when you got this lady here, it goes to show you, look at her. I mean, she's playing her little part for a check. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's dangerous because she's showing you that she is part of the dumbass black population that is in support of who? Who is she in support of? I mean, this is the crazy thing. Who is she? This is so crazy. Look at this.
Or a specific race.
Let's remind people what she's in favor of. Here we go.
Focused on a specific group or a specific race, here being black.
I watched 6 hours of Doge Bro testimony. This is Justin Fox. He's a former investment banker turned Doge Bro, I guess you could say. In a deposition, being asked about his role in flagging grants for DEI for termination. Here are the highlights. First, a large chunk of the deposition was refusing to define DEI.
Do you have an understanding as you sit here today of what DEI means?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your understanding of what it means?
Well, it is exactly what was written in the EO. Okay.
Then admitting to using ChatGPT to scan government contracts for terms like black and homosexual, but not white or Caucasian.
There's gay, LGBTQ+, and we can see that it says black, indigenous, people of color on this list, right?
Yes.
It doesn't say white or Caucasian on this list, does it?
It very well could have.
And while he
Right. So, you see right there's a discrepancy with this lady capping. You see? So she's not concerned about Doge going in and just indiscriminately looking for black folk. Nothing about any white, no searches for white people, nothing. Only black, only indigenous, only LGBT. And look at her black lady ass up here capping for this.
money.
She's capping, faking. She's faking the funk. She knows goddamn well in the United States of America, right-wing extremists hate Jews. Pretty much. White Christian nationalists hate fucking Jews. It's not an issue. It's only an issue when it becomes immigrants. So they can now talk about ICE. Hating Jews is only a real problem here. You see?
You heard me bring up politics there? This is why I bring it up.
This is why I bring it up. You heard me talk about politics there? This is why I bring it up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? It's like, this is just bizarre. So, of course, this is corporate media. So they got a tax break from Trump, who's adjacent to Elon Musk, who's adjacent to Peter Thiel. You know what I'm saying? And Peter Thiel is interesting because he's LGBTQ, but he's basically a white supremacist gay dude he's faking the funk. Can you imagine that? Faking the funk, though. Like, seriously, on Epstein Island. And if he was engaged in any activity, he'd probably be one of the guys that was looking for little boys on Epstein Island. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but in any case, this is just more of the crazy shit, But listen, folks, I'll be back. I'll be back in 3 hours from now. I got to be out for a second. I got to take care of a few morning things. But I will be back in 2 hours from now. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. Hold tight. I will definitely be right back at you. And I want you all to be to do well until then. Survive, you know what I mean? Despite Tyrone said, damn, I see you, Tyrone. Hold on, no, this is Devil Doll said, good for you. I'd move tomorrow. Damn, Tyrone said, hold on. Tyrone Vincent said, black from Mississippi, been out of America for almost 28 years, got no plans for returning. I hear you. I ain't returning with Trump myself. Fuck Trump. I'm not. Why would I go back? Why would I leave the civilized world, Denmark, to go to the motherfucking jungle, the United States of America? You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. I mean, we got Neanderthals running the country right now. No, I'm sorry. No offense to Neanderthals, any that are survivors, but this group is obviously more closely related. Because these motherfuckers, man, they don't know nothing, man. Nothing about, technology and shit. I mean, anyway, I shouldn't say that, but you get what I'm saying. Let me just call them fucking monkeys. Okay, goddamn, this administration is more closely related to apes. No pun to apes. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers are primordial ooze. Exactly. I mean, goddamn. You just can't get through that thick goddamn skull of Pete Hegseth's or Trump's. You know what I'm saying? Someone needs to measure their goddamn skull just to make sure they're human and shit. You know what I'm saying? Just like... One day, people going to get some get back. One day, people are going to get some get back. Anyway, I got to go, y'all. You guys are crazy, man. This shit is ridiculous. But in any case, yeah, man. You guys, man. Have a good evening. I appreciate everybody out here. I'll be back in a little bit. Oh, oh my fucking God. Hey, just give me 2 hours. I'll be back, yo. Peace, y'all. Appreciate everybody. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump.
Take it. traveled the globe just to gain perspective. The theory of relativity applied.
Of course.
It took a while to decide how I should proceed.
Cause even my life is truly based upon need.
So I move forward with more deliberate speed. Smash corny motherfuckers that
Stuck on greed.
My seed is worth more than $1 million.
And future stock.
The goal is to break the safe.
The padlock. Mad cats can't stop it, eat a rocket. Your style is boring and cold.
Mine is tropic. Battles you want, commit, you'll change the topic. My partner should get to put your beat in the pocket. So this nigga here can proceed to destroy your stereotypical pop rap gangsta ploy. Not hating on niggas from the ghetto, but I'm hating on copycat rappers from the meadow. They procreate bullshit without paying the price. That's like talking about CeeLo with no dice. I drink milk, but that's about it. I won't compare dairy MCs to dope shit. I want you full undivided in this here place. We think to entertain and to educate your bum ass niggas and your non-believers. You know we change your membrane every time you see us. The others can't stand the way we think away ease. The way we get love from the finest ladies. Oh my son, oh here comes another one. I'm about to take it to the place that lies under the sun. Style witty, come from Chocolate City. Today I'm on the march with I invited $1 million from the Million Man March to stomp on fake gangster rappers so they don't need starch. For the funeral suits, we shine boots and make the radio station only play the roots. Then make the television station play Alex Haley Roots and remind these motherfuckers of what? Their roots. Oops, you can't say that, bitch, it's a slap. The new world order is even under attack. You can't fight the power eating a Big Mac. Let me explain, the hamburger minerals lack style, originality, finesse, tactic, energy, maintain creatively. That's you mathematically, your presence is solved. Why? Because to tell you the truth, kid, you're lost. Now who's boss? I'll tell you, I know that brother hit rap clinic, of course. You're full undivided in this here place. We came to entertain and to educate your bum ass niggas and your non-believers. You know we change your membrane every time you see us. The others can't stand the way we make away ease. The way we get love from the finest ladies. Oh my son, oh here comes another one. I'm about to take it to the place that lies under the sun. Take it to the place, then take it to the place, then take it to the place that lies under the sun. Take it to the place, then take it to the place, then take it to the place that lies under the sun. Money, act funny, do your thing, dummy. But over there, they think it's You do your bid like a molested kid, but guess what? They still singing Make shit happen, I was born for this rapping. All this backstabbing in the hell you can't imagine. Hands and titties and yes, the ass cheeks clapping. All of this sweet things lead to digits on a napkin. See, I got feelings, but they all balled up. I'm kinda fucked up, but for real, that's what's up. I'm really shy, but then I don't know why. I know I'm going to die, but first I wanna get high. Roll the weed till the eardrums bleed. We need some fucking hate, yeah kid, that's what we need. Cause in this rapping skills contain bullshit. It has similarities to life that's sick. It can really suck, getting stabbed by a knife or shot. It doesn't matter, you just go for what you got. For real, I'm ambidextric, lyrically eclectic. Those who get hit with this get infected. Fuck that, I'll talk shit through the millennium. Do my part for this world ruled by Satan. I'm not faking, but there's something funny tasting. They baking in the sun, watching this shit get taken. All nations, so don't even get it twisted, son. Stop battling, man, stop the tail rattle, son. Cause our fate in the human race is like cattle. Cats be doing shit with their lips like babble. Make money, act funny, do your thing, dummy. But over there, they thinking You do your bid like a molested kid, but guess what? They still singing. Come here, Sonny, I wanna know why you're rapping. You say it's hip-hop and think the conversation stop, but it won't, cause you don't know the do's and don'ts, homie. You're supposed to use the shit for your real feelings, see? Like what you afraid of, you afraid of love? Stop the indifference, kid, there's only one above. Rapping is easy, but the fools, they fuck it up. They try to put the focus on a fat hoe's butt, but on the real, you're like cocaine with a lot of cut. You're not the gasolina, man, you're the pimp dreamer. And both of our lives can end at the pull of a lever, see? That's not intelligent, that's some hell-bent. But here on this planet by the ones that implement, Make money, act funny, do your thing, dummy. But over there, they thinking, You do your bid like a molested kid, but guess what? They still singing,